Ahoy, crypto pirates, Hexicans, how you doing out there? Welcome to your Discourse Syndicate's FN Hangout. I am the captain, your captain, bringing you your show. This is the Friday Night Hangout. It's your place. You come here, come in, be a Hexican that's putting some time in by coming and chatting with the community. Or if you're not, if you want to debate us, bait us, whatever us, it's here for you to do that too. I'd love to. I'd love to have debates. I noticed that people are debating out there right now with one another, talking about their feelings about PulseChain, Richard Hart, Hex, the movie, all that good stuff. Bring it. Let's go. Let's talk about it. That's why I named this thing Discourse Syndicate, so that we can have discussions about all this stuff. You know, is this camera is not focusing right, I don't think. Okay, we'll see. All right, looks good. Looks good. How's everybody doing? This is like I said, your show. I put the link in there for you to come in and join us. We've got people lining up already in the background. I got Crypto Graphics waiting in the green room, wanting to come on chat again. He joined us last week. This is your show, so come on in and do your thing. A lot of people in the early days of Hex came here to kind of get their feet wet their chops a little bit, and became Hexican streamers, crypto streamers, all that from here. So that's what I do. I make Hexicans. I don't claim to be anything super special. I just help make Hexicans. So let's say hello to the chat room real quick. Oh, look at we got an OG from the past showing up in here. Hector the Protector. What's up, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Melv Tony, of course, as always, like one of the first mates on the ship for sure. Melv, good to see you, bro. Living my best life. Hey, how you doing? DeFi Crypto Alliance with Corey Geary. Corey Geary, we are being boarded by some of our best out there. Pesky Girl, welcome, welcome, my lady. And to God Plankton. Okay, I like some of these names. Crypto Nobody. Yeah, aren't we all? Aren't we all? Alexander, what's up? What is up? I need to start passing out some more ban hammers. We need some more ban hammers. No Bullshit Token. How you doing? Eagle Al. Another one. Look at the names. The names. Dorzy's in there. Hey Dorsey, what you've been slacking, Dorsey. I don't think that I've muted you in a long time. I don't know what's up with you. I don't know what's up. And you got to come up with some new content, because me being old, ugly, short, boomer, ignorant to crypto, those are all old. You got to come up with some good content. I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you, Dorsey. PulseChain Maxi. I'm not eating until we get paid. Fuck, bro. Might not want to do that. People die that way. That's how Houdini died. Let's see who else is in here. Crypto Stylist, a lady, welcome. Another one of our OGs showing up. T-Bird, the T-Bird podcast. The T-Bird podcast. Everybody, T-Bird, put your link in there so we can show that out. If you got a podcast going on. Did you change your name on there, or am I just late? Let's see. Public service announcement. Now is the time to sell your useless shit and stack RH coins. Yeah, man. When it goes, and it leaves you, right? It just leaves you, and it leaves you quick. We've all seen it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a royalty in the chat. Johnny Chaos. Someone showed up because no one else wanted to stream. Yeah, we'd be alone. I'd be alone in here. Nobody in the chat room. Nobody in the stream. Literally, we had those kinds of days. And Johnny would come in because he felt sorry for me, and he'd hang out. So I always appreciated Johnny for that. Let's see. David Sorowake. Welcome. Iconoclast. Welcome. Human Hex Trafficker. Oh, jeez. Swear works. I always love seeing me some swear works. What's up, man? That like takes me all the way back to Hexo's old streams. I love those days. That was when we still had all of our innocence, right? We were still all had our innocence. Let's see when Elon gonna stream. Oh my gosh. I can't. I can't. I can't. Your focus is so boomer. I know, dude. What is going on? Let me see if I can fix something here. Hold on 1 second. This is really, really, really horrible. Kabish. Maybe that's going to be a little better for us. Nah, maybe not a little bad. Boom, 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 boom. You know, I hate the autofocus on this thing. Is now we're getting really fucked up. Hold on a second. There, it wants me closer is why. Okay. I will hit the autofocus on this thing next time and try and see if that'll. It's the autofocus has been so freaking weird, man. It's been like wanting the background, and it might have something to do with the lighting and shit that I got back there. But I'm gonna have to jack with that. Let's see. All right. Oh, there it is. T-Bird's caught. Let's put that up so everybody can see it. There he is. There he is doing the podcast. Love it, man. Love it. T-Bird, one of our ex masters. Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome. Come on in. Come hang out with us. Come talk. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about this week and what's going on in crypto. Today, just today, the Winklevoss bros of the Gemini fame announced that they will be IPOing. So the IPOs are popping in. Now, what does that mean to us? What does that mean to crypto? What's going on here? So they're all jumping at the bait of the new Genius bill is what's or the Genius Act. I'm sorry. And what they're wanting is they want to get in and get that seat at the table. They want in now, and they want to make that green because they are about to start onboarding the fuck out of everybody. So what does that mean for us? Centralized agencies are getting more centralized power is getting more and more consolidated. It's going to be doled out now to all the bigs. They're going to get their IPOs. They're going to have their stable coins, and they are going to have control over them. Now, not sure in the long run how that plays out for us. We're going to have to keep a close eye on it. But those are the things that we need to be discussing. Those are the things that greater crypto should be discussing. They're starting. I'm starting to see them. I started to see them. Hold on 1 second. I am going to unfuck my camera. Let me bring cryptographics up real quick. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Hold on a second. We got all kinds of. We have some new media assets in here. Let's fix the background. Is this background? Oh, look at this background.
Oh, wow.
So we got a new background made. I don't want that in the background, but we want to put that into the intro. Pretty cool stuff, huh? That's all AIs.
That's awesome. AI is so sweet nowadays. It's crazy we can get for $30 a month now. You know, right? Like it's insane.
Give me 1 second. I'll let you chat with the chat room for a minute. I'm gonna see if I can turn the autofocus on this camera and see if I can unfuck it. Hold on.
Yeah, do your thing. What's up, everybody? Hey,
not affecting me yet, Dorsey. You're not impressing me yet, Dorsey.
What is going on? I haven't been. It's the second time being back. It's great to be back. Seeing lots of familiar faces in the chat. Hope everyone's doing real well. I'm curious. Oh man, I got so many questions for RG, but it's been an interesting few days. I haven't seen the Winklevoss situation, but I do have a thing that I've been seeing, which is the first stablecoin based blockchain. And I don't know if RG's seen this, but I got questions about this, and I'd be very curious for him if he's seen about the stable blockchain that's with USDT.
Ooh, was that a question for me?
Yeah, it was a plant of a seed to whenever we get to it.
Okay.
For the USDT.
T?
Yes. I sent in the private chat here.
Okay.
There's a blockchain that's for USDT specifically now.
Oh, okay.
So just on the news of like a bunch of stuff happening that came into my peripheral awareness recently, and I figured I'd just throw that in the hat as well, as crazy amount of stuff that's happening.
Yeah, definitely something. Oh, Bitfinex. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So here's what's going on. So the Genius Act is obviously creating framework for stable coins to be built, launched, and managed by these companies. So they're all initial public offering, creating their companies, putting them out there, getting shareholders involved. So let's get everybody educated real quick on what all this kind of means. So if you have these companies that are crypto companies that are trusted by crypto bros, and they still operate and function as legacy crypto. So here we have Circle, we have Gemini, we have Bitfinex. All those are household names, right? Those are all crypto household names. To us, they are, we use them if we have to. They're a necessary evil. We know who and what they are. Okay. The real world and the crypto folk think that these are the household names that basically they can trust, right? Trust. So those people are going to create an IPO, initial public offerings, which makes their companies public. Now, what they will have is they will have shareholders. So that means there are going to be companies outside of crypto that we don't like, that we don't trust, that we don't understand, that are now going to own and sit on the boards of those companies. Now, that means that Bitfinex really doesn't have control of that stable coin, that Circle really doesn't have control of that stable coin, and the Winklevosses and whoever is coming into their business don't really have control of the stable coins. It's going to be about big money moving these stable coins and utilizing those reasons and the monitoring system by those things like let me see if I can remember the name of it. Chainalysis, not chain analysis. Chainalysis is the company that is going to be monitoring all of the wallets out there and the stablecoin usage. So the users are going to be monitored. Now, they've been fighting, it looks like, as of now, and we heard Michael Saylor. I can't believe he said it on stage at the Bitcoin event. You shouldn't be looking at our reserves. It's dangerous. I couldn't
believe that.
For you to look at our reserves. So he left all the writing on the wall. The IPOs coming out, the Genius Act being launched, all of this stuff happening in succession with the coming bull market, like they always do. When the bull market is coming, we always see this kind of news. We see the institutional money get deeper and thicker and deeper and thicker. And now it's all lined up for them to do what they want to do with it. And it's going to be kind of a frog in a pot situation for crypto. We're all going to be, they're going to turn the pot on low. It's going to be warm and everybody's going to be swimming around all happy in the pot. But eventually that pot's going to start boiling. And I think that's what's happening now. I don't think that we're going to see some dramatic flip and all of a sudden crypto's no good in a day or two from now. It's going to be a slow boiling and you're not going to recognize crypto anymore.
I would agree. That's how it's always been too, with all different markets that are taken over by, institutional money. It's slow. It's usually not overnight. These flips over time, politically, economically, market-wise, it's all slow and steady, and they don't care how long it takes. They just want, and they all the institutions, we're there, we're already there. Institutions and those that really want more money and power and control. It's kind of practice. It seems like business as usual at this point. So I would 100% agree. I'm still thinking that this might, because whenever I think about the way this industry is going, though, for this particular bull run, this leads me to believe that, like, is this going to be one of the last bull runs or the last bull run that is actually going to have any volatility before it turns into something like a S&P 500 or just a standard stock kind of movement over time that kind of moves with inflation and economic stuff? What are you thinking about that? Because I mean, I lean there. I really do at this point.
I think that, we're not going to see anything, like you said, drastic happen. It's going to be a slow roll into, something that we don't recognize, understand, or want, or that we've been advocating for. Now here's the problem. I think we're all invested in this. Time, effort, money. A lot of us have been around here for a long time and don't want to get, basically wiped out or miss this bull run, or whatever, and so we all have this bias. We have this bias of, fuck it, pump my bags, and 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 don't think I'm not in there with everybody, because I am. I feel the same way, let's face it, everyone says, money's, not important, but it's right up there with fucking oxygen. You know what I mean? And it is important to all of us, and our investments are important to all of us. And I think that, that's kind of our Achilles heel as to why we will sit in this pot and let it keep going. And I think that that's the big Achilles heel in, the Bitcoin world, because they have been waiting even longer than us for their bags to really get pumped, and a lot of the OGs have sold out and they're gone and they're done. They've cashed out and they've got theirs. But there's a lot of people that invested in 17 and in 20 in Bitcoin that are, looking for their big run here. They need this to go to 250, 300, or 500K, whatever. And so they're going to toe the line and cheer on the institutional money coming in. And, in my opinion, it's not doing us any favors. And the only saving grace is that we have some kind of a split between centralized finance in the crypto world and DeFi. And, if they, and I find it very highly unlikely that they're going to, allow that. But I'm hoping that they treat DeFi like cash and CeFi like the banking world, with FDIC insured shit and IPOs and companies and all that stuff behind it. And if you want to be safe and you don't want to custody your shit, then, go over there. But if you want to deal in cash, you do it over here. And they've already got all of the things in place to monitor cash and nefarious acts with cash, like drug dealing, terrorist activities, money laundering. Any of the nefarious acts that go on in cash are being watched, monitored, and rooted out. There's a lot more crime and stuff that goes on with cash than there is crypto. And the thing about crypto is they can monitor every last minute of it. They can see every transaction ever. They can, investigate somebody, follow it thoroughly, and, and nab them that way. If somebody's doing something nefarious, sure, fine, go ahead, go look for the nefarious people. But for people who are, using it as a tool to get them out of the financial woes that the rest of the world is in because of the dollar and the system out there, then, let it be, let it go and monitor it as you will. But I don't know. That's my best case scenario. That's what I want to see it look like. Is highly unlikely that that's possible. And I don't know what they're going to try and make this thing look like. But it's happening. It is happening, and it's happening faster than we've seen it happen before. Because all of this stuff that's going on right now was dreams and rumors of the crypto space, 5 years ago. This was all dreams and rumors and what ifs and could be's and all that kind of stuff. And not so anymore. Not so anymore. It's all here. It's right happening in front of our face. So it's here. We'll have to, again, the only way to fight for something is for people to unite, come together, and get loud, and bring as many people along as possible. Tell the story, and make it as public as possible. Otherwise, we go the way of the dodo bird.
Yeah, education and actually getting people to know really what's going on is going to be so key, because if people are just understanding narratives and what the media is telling, I mean, oh boy, we're not going to be doing so hot pretty quickly. But I'm curious, what you said, there's going to be some split between CeFi and DeFi. How much real DeFi do you think is actually out there still? Because we've been seeing like so many things that have been DeFi, right? That have been showing now, they can be paused, the funds can be frozen, all this stuff. So how much is actual DeFi? We know PulseChain's DeFi.
So let's get something absolutely 100% clear and straight. I know this space is loaded with a lot of people that talk a tough game. Fuck the government, fuck taxes, fuck all this, shit and all that kind of stuff. And when it comes down to it, they're unconfiscatable crypto. Sorry guys, but the government has a lot of confiscated crypto. They have confiscated a lot of crypto. Don't think that they can't confiscate your crypto. Don't think that they can't do what they want with it, with you. You're not some fucking global citizen that can, escape. There's people hiding out in other countries right now that are American citizens that, either fudged on their taxes or are being, rooted out for tax evasion of some type. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. And they're hiding. They have to hide because, let's face it, you're not a badass anymore when the three-letter agencies come knocking on your door. That game's over with. You can't talk a tough game on YouTube when you're being hunted down for doing the wrong thing. And so we've got to understand that no matter how badass we think this little crypto thing is, it's not. And if we want to keep it, we got to fight for it. We've got to get out there and do the right thing and tell the right story and show people how good it is. And I think that Richard has done DeFi justice. Finally, we've seen everything else bullshit. We've seen everything else. And they used Hex as the example. They used Richard's DeFi system as the example of they aren't DeFi. When they can take you off a decentralized exchange, when they could pull your name out of a coin ranking site, when they can, say, screw you, you can't come into this centralized exchange, all of these things that they've done, they've proved that Richard's DeFi is DeFi and that they aren't DeFi, from wallets to everything else. So they've used Hex to prove that they aren't DeFi. So it's kind of interesting how they did that. So I don't hear the word DeFi thrown around a lot anymore. It was all the rage 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It was all the rage. DeFi, 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 DeFi. Everything was DeFi. It's crickets on DeFi. Nobody's saying anything about DeFi anymore. And it's interesting to me that that's what's going on out there.
It is, isn't it? I've been noticing that too. It's like, it seems like memes this cycle are blowing, like everyone's looking for the meme. Solana kind of wrecked a lot of people. So that was kind of killed that a little bit. I think it seemed like there was some people getting tired, but and the other thing that I've been seeing too, that's been really interesting is, I don't know if you've been following James Wynn on X. He's this big trader, perfect example of why you don't leverage trade the 3Ls. You just leave the leverage out of the game. But what has been really interesting to watch too on the DeFi side of things is what everyone was thinking was, the markets are markets, right? The markets are markets. They're just, we're going to go up or we're going to go down. And this guy, I wouldn't say totally, because I didn't do the chain analysis for everything, but it looked like wherever he had longs, the market chased him down, took out his longs, and went back up. And so it shows you that even the market now is becoming so centralized and so made by a few people that it's not even the tools, it's not even the platforms, it's now the market. And maybe it's been the market since the beginning. Because I mean, you go back to 2017, it looked like USDT had some funny business going on there. I mean, you had FTX that was doing some shady stuff with Alameda. And I mean, the list goes on, but it goes even as far as the markets now too. That's out in the open of like, yeah, I'm not even trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's of course, because of FTX, everything got exposed. You know, what they were doing got exposed. The 3-card Monte or the shell games that they were playing were finally exposed out in the open. We all knew what they were doing. CZ, the reason that FTX got screwed was because CZ knew what Sam was doing, and CZ freaking pulled the rug on him and got him caught because CZ had done it before himself. He knew the game, you know, and of course, you know, everyone's going to have their own opinion on that, but it's obvious what happened there, you know, and it was obvious what was happening. And when you give a bunch of money to people and they say, oh no, I'm going to hold it and I'm going to give you, you know, something else that's worthless and you guys go make it worth something or whatever, you know, let's just hold it here. You're going to go, oh, this yield, you're going to get yield. You know, that's the oldest fucking game in finance. The game has been played forever by governments and companies and scammers. And it's like, you know, it's nothing new. There is nothing new under the sun. You fucking guys aren't doing anything new to anybody that hasn't already been done before. And, you know, and Richard was speaking about all this stuff. And it's like, and I was like, you ain't lying. You give your money to somebody and they're stealing it from you. They're not doing you any damn favors. When you give people your money, they ain't doing you any favors. You know, it's hard to find people to do good business with. I've had people that I thought were like literally legitimately business partners and even close to being friends. And they've ripped me off. And it's disheartening, but it happens, and it happens all the time. So that's what's been going on here for a long, long time. That's what's given us such a bad name. And you know, we've got to break through that somehow. We've got to rise above that somehow. I think that this bear market has brought out the worst in all of us, especially this community, because we've got a lot of smart people here, and we've got a lot of people that, if they came together, can create that organic push to go and do something great. But because it's a volunteer army and because it's hard to find those people that can push a narrative and get it out there, Richard did a great job for a while, you know, but he's been gone. And, you know, I think that his wisdom and his knowledge in this industry is needed. I think that his voice is needed. And he needs, people behind him that can go out and do the same thing, speak the same narrative, and you know, drive that message home to make the world a better place. You know, he's always saying he wants to make the world a better place. And that's what he has to do. He has to kind of lead the charge with that knowledge and wisdom. And he has a great way of explaining it to everybody. He, you know, he does a much better job than I know these things. I've lived through these things that he talks about. You know, I've had to survive through these things that he talks about. And he has a great way of marrying old world financial wisdom with new world crypto, and, you know, laying it out there for people to understand and digest it. And I think that's why he was so liked and revered, is because he made things simple for us to understand. And he made complex and complicated narratives and you know, things that are going on in the crypto space very easy to digest and very easy to put somebody in front of it and say, hey, listen to what he just said about this. You know, it makes sense. And you know, and so we need that again. We need him back. speaking that way, and hopefully that's going to happen soon. That's really the only reason I think that crypto needs, and I'm not saying just this community. This community needs Richard, of course, just because the motivation factor, giving us all a shot in the ass with some energy. I'm fucking tired, man. I'm tired. I'd love to have him back out here re-energizing me, because I want to go charge the hill again, but I'm fucking tired. And I'm tired of fighting our own people. I'm tired of fighting crypto. I'm tired of fighting them all. It's like all that stuff is done with. We got to move forward. If we don't move forward, we're cooked. And and I hope he comes back and does that. As far as anything else, don't need him. I don't need him to bring fucking SAC funds in and do anything with that. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for Richard to come back and lead the charge to speak to DeFi, because the powers that be, they ain't speaking the same thing that he is. I'm gonna give this thing one more shot. Go ahead. And we're trying to fix this because it's really driving the shit, bugging the shit out of me.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to Richard coming back, and you just look at the space, and there's just so many people that they're speaking, they're coming from a place where there's something deeply in it for them. They want so badly to manipulate, have central control, and their values are tied too closely to where their wallets are, the money they're getting back. And so, at least from and this is the reason why I started watching Richard in the first place. It was the first time where I was like, whoa, this dude, like you said, RG, or like RG said, because he can't hear me, is he's actually saying things that seem truthful. And then I researched them, like, holy shit, okay, this is actually real. And then you watch him go on with people that are so-called like influencers or public figures or well-known people in the space. And it was just crazy to watch him come on and just undermine these people so quickly, so easily. So the first thing I noticed about Richard was when he came on to the scene, at least for me, when I came onto the scene, I should say, and I saw Richard for the first time, it was refreshing because like, this is the first guy who doesn't seem like he's trying to get everyone. I don't know. I mean, it was just like he had a different kind of motive. He had a different kind of value, a different kind of set of values that I think is the biggest thing that, if it's not Richard, and I hope it is, but this space does need someone like Richard in the sense of he has the values, he has the ethics that he brings, he has the vision, and he wants the space to stay true to what it was designed to be. And also that, because the thing that Richard has that's really hard to duplicate is charisma, the intelligence to back the charisma, and the work ethic, because that's what brought it all together originally, because none of the stuff that he built doesn't come together if you didn't have the vision and the work ethic to go with it. And then it doesn't go to the masses. You don't have the charisma and the communication. So, man, I couldn't agree with you more. I hope it's Richard, but we need Richard or someone like a Richard badly in this space, and hopefully multiple of them, because if we don't have that, who's going to go to bat? Because we need people in that caliber. On the world global stage, the global crypto stage, to be able to have a voice. Because as much as we like to think, our voices, or we all have voices, it is true that you only have a voice at a level that people recognize you at. And in terms of your social caliber, what you've built, all that stuff, we can see it's clear as day. It's really hard for someone like small to have any kind of impact.
Yeah. And especially if you're throttled, because, the things that get recognized, and Richard knew it when he did the outrage marketing and the Gucci stuff and all that. And he knew what the algorithms wanted. He knew that bringing trolls would increase his follower count, and that his hopes were, if I lead enough of them to slaughter and don't slaughter them, am I going to make this space better? Am I going to save a bunch of them? And he did, he did. It semi backfired, I would say. And I'm not going to call the outrage marketing thing really a bad thing, to be completely honest. I think that he did what was necessary because that's what gets attention. I don't get attention. Like my YouTube channel hasn't grown at all, you know, and I look at people out there who they're not saying the things that people like me and Johnny Chaos are saying. They're not speaking, you know, old world financial wisdom into crypto and saying, hey, we need DeFi, we need to you know, stop all this stuff that's going on out there and take a good look at it. People, look at what you're doing. You know, we don't have enough of those people saying that. I'm starting to see some of the crypto people start to push back, like on the Genius Act. I saw them finally starting to say things about the Genius Act, you know, and maybe it's a little too late for all them. I don't know. But I don't know what's going to have to change. I think that we're starting to see, especially with AI now, like going freaking ballistic on everything. We're starting to see people scrutinizing things more and trying to really dig into the truth more. And when you have somebody like a Richard that gets out there and, you know, the reason we were all even, you know, the reason I listened to Richard is because I was like, oh, this guy's real. He's real deal. He's speaking truth. He's not bullshitting his way through this. He doesn't appear to me to be grifting. And you know, that's what attracted me to his whole project and what he was doing and got me involved, was because I was like, there's something different about this guy. There's something else here. And I like that because it resonates with who I am. I've never taken any money for any of this stuff. I've only put my own money, time, and effort into it to try and build it with him, you know? And, you know, that's the kind of people I wanted to be around, that I wanted to see in crypto, because shit, man, in 14, 15, 16, all I saw was, I was like, oh shit, who are these guys? This place is loaded with some shysters, you know, and I was friends with a lot of them. Now, they were like my buddies, people that I had done business with. And I was like, oh boy, this is going bad. But I still had hope for it, because, you know, the technology that's behind it is different than anything that the financial world has ever seen, you know, and the potential of it is, you know, is enormous. But we got to get out of our own way. And the problem is that the crypto bros are too weak to fight the fact. And they've, you know, basically the lion has gotten into the hen house. Now, what are the hens going to do? Right? That's the problem right now that we're facing. So that's how dire it is. That's really what's here, you know? And I hate to be so down and negative about it. And I'm not. I want to fight, but it's like, who's going to fight with me? Who's going to be there? Who's going to do it? Who's going to start speaking about this stuff and not, you know, tit for tatting over what Richard's doing right now. Like, that's a waste of time right now. It is a waste of time.
100%. You look at any movement, right? There's one figure starts a movement, and everyone rallies behind the person that starts that movement because they're a symbol of that. And that can carry forward through time in different ways. Like, you look at different religions, they work kind of like similar to this, but someone like Richard, like this whole movement, PulseChain, Hex, PulseX, like everything that he's built, this community is all around the vision that he has and the leadership that he brought to the table in putting that vision into effect. And so if you take that out of there, the only thing most of us had was like, I believe in that guy, right? That's the only power a lot of people really had, was like, I'm with him. I have a small voice, but I'm with him.
Listen to what he says.
Exactly. I don't have I can't say anything about it, but I'm with him. You take him out of the picture.
Wrong with that, because that's how the networking effect works. You know, and it's like, you know, the networking effect works in people are attracted to the networking effect in different ways. Either they're the crowd doing it is what attracts them. the person that brought them to the crowd is what affects them, or that leader of that crowd is what affects them to want to get involved. So there's a lot of, like you said, it's that classic thing where the one guy's dancing and then everybody's looking at him like he's a fucking crazy fool. Then somebody dances with him, and then it's like, if you watch that video, you'll see like, okay, everybody's kind of watching, and then, 3 girls sitting on a blanket get up together and they're like, come on, and they coax each other into it. So what enticed them to get into it was them and their relationships with one another, and they went and did it. And the one person just got up there and said, this guy's cool, I'm just going to go up there with him and act ridiculous too, and so there's all different reasons why the networking effect kind of like continues to grow and develop and move. And that's why I'm saying is it takes all of us to get out there and be loud and, continue to do what we're doing. For instance, nobody knows when the tops or bottoms of anything are. I'm sorry. Richard's called a couple, and, and there's a couple people out there that are good at figuring things out and have called. Very few people know how to do that. I mean, we can kind of look at the market and go, well, we know Bitcoin's on its 4-year cycle, and we can see that there is going to be a pump here, what it's going to bring, how high it's going to go, how long it's going to last. We really don't all know, there are top signals and top signals and bottom signals, but we all go out and try and onboard people as often as we can, and then there's our onboards that, just sit there and they don't do anything, and they don't do anything, and they don't do anything, and they do want to get in, and they're, and it's the bottom. It's like, hey, it's time for you to get in. It's the bottom of the market. It's so cheap right now. Oh, and that scares them. And then they wait and they wait. And then the bull market comes and it starts running up, and they're like, oh, I want to get in. Did I miss it? Oh, I'm going to wait for a dip. Oh, it's not dipping. Oh my gosh, it did another 4X. Oh gosh, I should have got in last week with you. And, and then it's like, just get in and shut up and quit it, and so you bring them in finally, and it's the top, right? And it's like, oh, so, but I mean, you never know. Nobody has a crystal ball to really tell what's going on. It's just go out there and do. And then it's all about how you treat those people in the bear market. What do you teach them? How do you treat them in the bear market? Are you helping them to lower their entry, by bringing them, hey, well, you bought at 40 cents. Now you got to buy at 12. Now you got to buy at 3. And now, hey, you need to put what you want to put in at a penny, because now you've knocked your cost down to like 6-7 cents or whatever, And so that's the kind of thing that we have to teach people, work with people, build the network, that kind of stuff, versus fighting and backbiting and telling people, oh, you wrecked me. And if you got people that feel like they're wrecked, you go, no, this is how you do it. Like, my buddies that call me, and some of them don't listen. Like, some of them are going to cry and until the fucking bull market is all set in at the top, and I tell them, hey, you need to change your cost average from 30 cents. Now it's a penny. Get yourself in, double your bag size, and get yourself in at, whatever, 10 cents, 15 cents, 12 cents, and some of them won't listen. They're just afraid, scared. Oh, it's never coming back, but you got to do your best to try and treat people how they should be treated in a bear market, just as they are in a bull market, because nobody knows or has a crystal ball. Got some green rumors. I'm going to bring up some folks. We have, ladies and gentlemen, from the DGen Roundtable, the Ascending Man. What's up, Nate? How's it going, buddy?
Hell yeah. Oh, having a good time. I just got done doing the Ethereum white paper for book club. Which, that was very complicated.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I would want to tackle that, because it is. Yeah. Those guys were different kind of dudes when they wrote that white paper. It's nothing like the Bitcoin white paper, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was very interesting, because while we're reading through, I'm like, the way that Vitalik is like writing this is he's coding out physical things. And at one point he literally says, the block space is physically bigger, and so we need to do this, do that. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It's cyberspace, bro. This ain't physically there.
It's a white paper, bro. This is for the layman.
Exactly.
One more person in the green room. Let me bring him up, ladies and gentlemen. Hexican royalty himself, Johnny Chaos. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, boy.
How's it going, guys?
Johnny.
Oh,
I was picking on cryptographics in the thing. I said, when did he turn into proof of beard?
yeah, looking sharp. I think it fits him, man. I think it fits him.
But Mark already had one twin. So now he's got two.
But where's Markable been for the
We
last?
have not seen him.
He's on life, man. I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything, but he's doing real life. He has turned into a real man, doing real life, and having some really incredible things happening in his life. And congratulations to you, Markable, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he's doing great, man. Markable,
Amazing.
He's put together some really nice video footage and stuff for us in the past and everything, and he's always kind of worked behind the scenes, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Real quick, let me jump in the chat for just a second. First of all, welcome to Sandy Beach, my lady. Good to have you here. And ladies and gentlemen, one of our missing in action, JFK 666. Hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, good to see you, man. Trouble is that this is a tough game for the tough-minded, and newbies think that it's an easy game, dishing out easy money. And you know what, JFK, you and I are of a certain age, and we've got to both admit, even at 15 years, or even at as long as we've been in this space, 10 years or whatever, this is the quickest money I've ever seen. I've had some successful businesses that have done well, that have, but I've never seen anything, even though delayed gratification, what we're about here, it's still working better than anything else that I've ever seen out there in the real world. Johnny can attest that. He's been working in a business for a long time. It takes a lot of hard work, time, effort. And it's not like you're just waiting there looking at your bag going, grow. Out there getting, driving, 100 miles to go get some styrofoam and come back, and he's got tanks of freaking, goo going bad on him, and he's got to, give customers stuff, and then he has customers ghost him. I mean, that's work. You're not waiting for your money. You're working for your money. And this crypto thing, sitting around waiting for it, is so hard. And it's fast. It really is fast. I've never seen anything so.
It gives everybody the opportunity to that probably couldn't run a business an opportunity, right? So it's really an open opportunity. All you have to do is just kind of understand how it works, and it's unfortunate that people come in with that lottery mindset, and most people that win the lottery, if they don't learn money management skills, you can research it. People that take the lump sum, they're done in a couple of years.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the amount. It could be $30 million. It could be $100 million. If you don't learn the proper money management skills, it doesn't matter if you get it. You're not going to keep it.
You're not going to keep it.
And people are like, oh, no, I'll keep it. Every single person that's ever collected a lump sum check has done exactly that. They've picked that lump sum option. They don't look at it as residuals or regular income. It's got to be, nope. I want the lump sum. I'm never going to run out of money. No, you are if you don't have the money management skills.
Run out fast. Because don't forget.
The way that I always view it is it's kind of like a pool, right? If you fill up a pool with water and then you poke a hole in it, yes, it may trickle out, but eventually that pool is going to run out. And that's why I think it's a terrible idea. What you want to have, even if you got that water trickling out for yourself to live, right? You at least need to have a hose putting more water back in. Exactly. And that's the idea of yield.
That's life,
so,
man.
Like,
you got to hold the bomb all
the
time, man. All the time. And you better have.
Guys, I have an announcement for you as soon as you're done.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so currently, can you say hello to the Twitch, Kick, and everywhere else streams?
Hello to Twitch. Hello to Kick. Welcome to the FN Hangout. Good to have you guys with us. Welcome. This is your show. Hey, if you want to come in, you go on YouTube and you can hit the link there and come on in and join us if you'd like. If not, you just want to watch, we're going to be around here for the next hour or so, just yucking it up about crypto and the PulseChain Hex ecosystems.
Hell yeah, guys, let's do it. Johnny, I would say I would probably want to take the lump sum, but that's so I can put it into something that would then start yielding me right away.
I can tell you this, guys. Back in the day, I bought about $6,000 worth of materials, and I went to the convention and I sold every last bit of it. But that $6,000 of materials that I bought at the time, I could have bought Hex, and at today's prices, it would have been $1 million.
Sheesh.
So Hex has punished me for buying materials, which I mean, I'm thinking that the price right now is going to spike because I'm about to reorder materials again.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
So I'm about ready to get, because you have to keep your income stream swollen.
Yeah.
I could have sold the top. I could have retired. Sure.
I remember, Johnny, I remember having that conversation with you back then. You're like, damn, man, I gotta keep my business going. I'm like, you gotta do what you gotta, you gotta do what you gotta do. And it's like, the tempt of to cheat into this thing is just like, but I remember that. And you're like, nope, I gotta keep my business going. And you did. And you did the right thing. Now, Richard might not say you did the right thing.
Right.
Diversification sucks. You need to be in this, right? But again, hindsight's 2020. We could sit here and say, Johnny, you were wrong. You fucked up. But you know what? You made the right rational decision. You're a businessman. You have a business to conduct, and that's your life. If you
there's that other aspect that people,
you're gonna go the way of that guy we were talking about at the beginning of the show here. What was his name? Graphics, the guy that's the big famous guy.
James Wynn.
Win.
James Wynn. Yeah,
he's not win no more, right?
So what I discovered is that you still need a sense of purpose. I was actually, when the prices were really, really high, I was like, damn, what have I spent the last 30 years of my life doing? It's like, I felt, I came into this feeling accomplished anyway. Everybody told me, that I was never going to have my own studio. It was a stupid idea. It took 20 years for my parents to get it through their damn heads. The last 10 years, they finally believed in me. But, it was a rough road to get where I am to begin with. And that was just kind of always my dream, was just to have a shop where I can make things and work under my own power, not really have to answer to anybody. That was it, man. That was like my end game, and I made it. And then, crypto comes along, and, we do a 10,000X. And, I really honestly, if the FOMO was not so high, and people didn't understand how quickly that ran away, but if the FOMO was, what if we only went up to a penny? Nobody would be miserable today. If we only had gone up to a penny and that lunacy didn't happen, everybody would be like, oh, okay, yeah, well, it's still up. But because it had a blow off top, because it went up so exponentially high, and that's when everybody decided they wanted to listen and everybody decided to get in. Now it's like, oh, it's 99% down. No, it's actually still 100x off the bottom.
104x.
Okay.
And
so if you had 10 grand in there, you still got $1 million.
And we were talking that. We were saying, if this thing goes to a penny, and we would say maybe 3. If it goes to 3, I'm gonna be astonished. Like if it goes to 3.5, that's the max. That's the blow off top. Boom. And it should have been a hint and a half for our asses that we were right, that we knew where its level was, and that blow off top was people jeeting the shit out of it. Because when you do a 10,000x, everybody wants in that motherfucker, whether it's 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents. And that's what happened. The people that were ghosting me or hemming and hawing about getting in wanted in. I mean, you saw it in the movie. You saw,
and there's just not that much available. So that piling effect, there's just not you can't get in at those times. You're paying ridiculous gas fees and everything else. People don't understand this, but people were paying $100 Ethereum swap fees to get $100 worth of Hex.
It was freaking sick.
Because they didn't care what they were paying in Ethereum fees. They just wanted in. They wanted a piece of that. And that mania, we moved from 11 cents to 56 cents in 30 days. It was like a month that happened, and
crazy.
And you don't have time to think. You're either on it when it leaves, or good luck trying to get in. You're you end up fighting with everybody all the way up. And then, so, okay, it crashed. So what do we do now? We tell people what they don't want to hear. We tell them, look, you got a DCA. Well, I DCA'd and the price went down. Yeah. Okay. Well, you got to DCA some more and reduce your entry point again. Oh, I don't want to do that. I bought my lottery ticket at the top and now I'm going to wait. Okay. You're going to wait all the way down and you're going to wait all the way up. And on your way up, you're going to get out about halfway and you're still going to lose 50% because you have made that situation for yourself. Mm-hmm. Because you refuse to throw any more money in because you didn't believe, you stopped believing. And now you're setting yourself up for failure. Mm-hmm. And so we try to tell people, it's like, oh, you're just dumping on our heads. I wish, man. I wish I could dump at 50 cents. I'm not in a position to dump at 50 cents even now, today. So
I have never moved the hex chart. Buying, selling, anything. I have never moved it. You know, it's never done anything on account of RG3. That is for sure. So being called, you know, a dumper or whatever is like, yeah, okay, I wish.
And where are we at today, right? Bitcoin's going to do what? Maybe a 2x, right? 2x? You know what Hex did when Bitcoin did a 2x? Baby. I love that meme. I don't know if anybody knows Phineas and Ferb, but what's funny about that is Perry always shows up at the end of the show. Perry's a little platypus here, and they're like, "Oh, there you are, Perry," because like he finally caught up. So I just kind of love that meme when I put it together. But literally, we were just keeping track of double, 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 double. And if you're experiencing that for the first time, you got to know how to deal with it. And it's not a straight line up. Every time it'll drop 50% in a bull run, and you'd be like, oh, it's over, and you want to quit. And it'll drop 50% again and go up and drop 50% again and go up. It can drop 70%, and then the run is just not over. And literally, it's the same people going, oh, I got out. Oh, I'll get back in. Oh, I got out. Oh, I get back in, you know. And what they end up doing is they end up having a much, much smaller bag when they finally do get to the top. That when they do cash in, they've got just a fraction of the bag that they had to begin with. And people don't understand. Look, if you're not playing, if you're not playing with six figures, it might take you a couple cycles. You know, even in the meme coins, you hear about the one guy that won. Well, that's because he took everybody else's money. That's why he won. Because, you know, the liquidity has to go up with the price. If the liquidity doesn't go up with the price, not that many people are going to be winners. So you're in a situation where you're competing to exit the door when everybody else wants to get out.
So would you know, this is kind of dawned on me a little bit. It's like, you know, when we know a rising tide lifts all ships. We know when Bitcoin moves, market moves.
We've not really seen that this time around, have we?
Well, we've seen a little bit of, we haven't seen a lot of market move with Bitcoin. We saw a jeet in Bitcoin because of BlackRock announcing that they had their billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And we knew that was happening a year ago. We can see the OTC trades going on. We can see billions of dollars a day being, you know, dished out to new wallets. The OG wallets were selling their Bitcoin, OTC trades. Finally, when that was spotted by the market moved, and the what's the market cap of crypto right now? What do we got? Does anybody know?
It's right around 3 trillion.
3 trillion. Okay, so we're at the top levels of last bull market, right? So we've retraced market cap back to, and again, you know, we know market cap's a vanity metric, but in this case, in macroeconomic view, we can kind of see what's going on in the marketplace. So we pushed it back up to the levels of where everybody was at. So that's the people that were already in and moving around and whatnot. We haven't seen retail come in really and move. We haven't seen market buys come in really and move the price. So we know that once that happens, it's going to start raising the ships, because it's the market buys that, you know, a Hart's law affects all the rest of crypto. It's not the OTC trades. It's not the people that have already been in making their positionings. OTC. It's when the market starts moving and we start seeing everything start to rise. And then we get, people moving in this, moving in that, whales jumping into certain projects and pushing them up, like when Hex started moving up. And all that moves at a certain kind of level. As soon as you see something start to run uncontrollably away, I think that's when it's a hint and a half in your ass that it's too late and you need to watch the fuck out, because that's when you should be, if your strategy isn't staking long-term and all that, if your strategy is to position yourself out a little bit or whatever takes them off the top, once you see that run of your crypto start to move through the market, away from the market, that's when you need to start dollar cost averaging yourself out of your position that you want to get out of. And, and that's not something that, we kind of advocate for or talk about much. But if you're that guy, if that's your trading strategy, or that's your strategy for this market cycle, then that's kind of like, I think, what you got to look for.
Yeah. And the thing is, you think if you buy the top that you can't recover. And unfortunately, the only way to recover is to double down at the bottom. So that way, a 2x from wherever, from that entry point, you're able to take your money back out that you lost at the top, and you still have, now you have a better entry point with the original amount.
Now there's somebody. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Johnny. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There's somebody who had an extremely good entry point and could have had an even better entry point if he was still in today, but didn't. I'm going to show you guys that.
This clip.
Why did I sell my fucking Hex, man? I sold my Hex. I had 16 million Hex.
An adoption amplifier.
And I sold it all. Why? Man.
He's showing you the adoption amplifier. So this wasn't even the first year.
136.
Oh, man.
Oh,
right
man.
around here.
He's crushed before he even knows how crushed he is.
The next day it went up to here. I said, okay, I'm going to buy it back when it dipped. The next day it went up to here. I said, okay, I'm going to wait. Then it went up here. Then it went up here. I sold my Hex, man. And then it went up here, and I said, please dip. Please dip back to 5,000. And then it went up to 10. Oh, like $80,000, man.
$80,000.
That's at 0.0002 cents.
Oh,
Yikes.
man, but it's going up, man. I got about $500,000 now.
He's got a half a million Hex now. He only has
That's
half
before
a million
the
Hex.
blow off top too. That was before the.
Oh, that was before April.
Oh, crap!
Dude, he didn't even make it out halfway through the year.
No, he could have bought back in at the highest point that he was crying about, and he'd be a multimillionaire right now.
Jesus Christ, dude, that's wild.
And so the funny part about that is he started out with the perfect mindset. What if this thing goes up to a penny? What if this thing goes up to 10 cents? So that's like the rest of the video was, he was like, man, because he was promoting for Hex at the time. What if this thing goes up to a penny? What if it goes up to 10 cents? Man, and guess what? It did. So at 16 million Hex, that was $8 million at the top.
It was over 8 million. It's insane.
Yeah. Over 8 million at the top. Yeah. So
see,
he
you
got
can get
out
to a point.
year one.
You can legitimately get to a point where it gets so high where you're like, can get to 10 cents, and then it does, and you're like, whoa, that's actually crazy. But then you see more green candles happening and more people getting onboarded. And that's when you start thinking to yourself, wait a minute, how far can this go? That's, of course, euphoria. And so once the euphoria starts happening like that, that's when you need to start taking a step back and saying, okay, I'm so euphoric at this point that I think it's going to $1. Well, here's the thing, though. We were only thinking it was going to go to, like, say, 3 cents. And now we start thinking it's going to $1 or whatever. Now, what happens when once you start hitting, like, say, 30 cents or something like that, you end up finding out that everybody is agreeing with you. Okay. And the thing about crypto is that crypto is extremely quick. It's extremely fast, right? Very forward thinking, but also extremely fast. And so when everybody starts thinking something is going to happen, most likely that's already the priced in, price. Everything's been priced in. Maybe it can go a little bit higher, sure, but at that point you're at that spot where you're kind of peaking, you know? And here's the thing, you win if you sell somewhere before the top, or just after the top. You win ultimately. And so that's why what you need to start looking at is, hey, everybody is telling me this is where the price range is going to go. The crowd is usually wrong. Usually. That's when you should start taking profits, because you need something. You need to pull something out. Now, does that mean maybe, I had 16 million hex and I sold off over the course of like 3 months, during that whole like period. Maybe I sold off, 10 million hex, and now I still got 6 million hex, and then it drops all the way down 99%, right? Do you feel bad about that? No, because you still won the game. That 6 million hex, if you sold it all, yes, that would have been better. But,
let me show you who the real winners are.
Okay.
That gentleman right there was a trader bro. There were a bunch of trader bros. He was one of the trader bros on YouTube at the time. He was a trader bro. And the difference between him and myself and Johnny was that he was going into the adoption amplifier and pulling out his hex and looking for the arbitrage or looking for whatever, and they were trading. And we watched them do that. In fact, one guy got really wrecked from the arbitrage issue that was going on with the adoption amplifier. But what saved guys like me and Johnny was that we understood the system. We understood what it was. We understood the value of it. And the money that came, or the hex that came out of the adoption amplifier and landed on our wallets, ended up in our staking ladder strategy instantly. We staked our hex. And guess what? We never got tempted to sell it. We never got scared out of our position. We never got FOMO'd out of our position. We were locked in. We couldn't do anything with that hex. There was nothing we could do.
You don't have any hex, just T-shares.
We just had T-shares.
So what are you looking at the hex price for? You don't even have any hex. You've got future hex that doesn't even exist yet. It's like counting your money before your check arrives. I mean, it's like it's a bizarre behavior because it's future money. It's like counting your year's salary before the year's up.
And we were right, because some of these stakes that are maturing, I mean, look, we've been staked for, a lot of years already. We're a third of the way into our 15-year stake, some of us, right? So we saw the value of that and saw, man, with the way Richard's talking, and all of us, we sat here on this channel and went over it ad nauseum of what the value of the T-shares were, what the future was going to look like, how much hex you were going to end up. Price be damned. We didn't know what the price was going to be. We were like fantasizing a penny to 3 pennies, right? Which is where we're at today. We're at a penny. So like your guys' mindset about what's going on here, my mindset are completely different, because we knew what was coming. We prepared for it to come. We weren't trader bros. We were staker bros. We knew what we were supposed to do with this. Richard taught us, and we all taught ourselves what we were supposed to do. And it was staking. And some of these stakes that were big payday stakes are coming out at 200+ % returns.
That's nice.
That is what it was made for. That's what saved us from, the FOMO and the Jeet and everything.
And stakers are what made the price go up, because they were moving supply off the market. You would have never had that 56 cents anomaly if people weren't staking.
Yeah, and
that is the whole thing.
Crazy. And that's what needs to be taught again. We need to teach people the value of hex, what it creates, the business opportunity of hex. Like Johnny was saying, I went to the Bitcoin event and they had 2 rows of mining hardware vendors, 2 rows of Bitcoin mining hardware vendors selling to the general public mining hardware. Like the stupidity of that. Like,
but people don't understand that, RG. You're going to spend $2,000 and then think that you can compete with the companies that already got 70% of the hash rate.
It's not just that; it's the governments too. You got the government's
And,
like
and the
freaking
government's government's got
Freaking
hash
all
rate.
the time.
Everybody's got hash rate except for you. It's a big club and you ain't in it.
It's
It
a-
costs you $2,000 to enter, and you still don't get any perks from it.
No, it's
So-
about a $5,000 3-month waste of time is what it's going to be, because it's going to cost you a couple grand in electricity to realize that you just got your ass handed to you and got lied to, and that piece of hardware that you have. Look, we built a set at the studio for Muse when we made the movie out of out of a Big Kurkowski's mining hardware. He threw away and sent his mining hardware to the studio, and I'm talking he had a truckload of miners from his mining operation that were worthless movie props is what they ended up being. And
I only had a chance to buy skids of ASIC miners, one of the auctions that I was going to.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, I was looking at a couple different things. I had my job with the medical company at the time that I was working regularly there, and I was like, well, one, I want some I was looking at rates for CDs, 1.5%. I was looking at these skids of miners, and I'm like, oh, I could mine Bitcoin. And it's like, okay, well, you've got the negative externality of purchasing the hardware, and then you got the negative externality of setting it up and keeping a cool room and running these things and burning power. And what are you really going to yield from it? And then you realize that even if you have skids of miners, the probability of them being profitable for you is next to zero. So,
Absolutely.
and then you watch these YouTube channels and you see these miners that have these beautiful operations, and they're crying as they're shutting down machines.
Mhm.
And they're reaching out for sponsorship money to keep their machines running.
Yep.
Hex's model is a distribution model. It is a dynamic, deferred, inflationary model that is distributed to the participants in a way that Bitcoin was at the very beginning, where you didn't have to buy miner-specific hardware that you had to buy from only two companies that primarily sell the majority. And not only that, they own all the hash rate too. So they're selling you the shovels, and they got the goddamn mine. So you're getting double screwed, because they sell you the shovel telling you you're going to find gold over there, and in the meantime, they're got the mine. So
it's 100. Like you're not lying. You're not like putting some like weird idea. That's exactly what's going on. That's exactly the bullshit they're trying to feed to people. And when Bitcoin was, you pushed in EXE at the beginning.
Yeah.
You ran it off your computer, and you might. It's what Hex is today, and always
it's
has
what
been.
Hex is today.
Will be. Hex will always be that. It's like running that EXE miner right off of your computer. No power constraints. Nothing. A better inflation model.
Overhead.
No overhead. And
no
even
energy bills.
Even at 1.5 hex per T-share, you're still winning,
earning more coins.
Changes and the staked hex that you have makes that inflation. You're still coming ahead. You're making more crypto. There is nothing else out there that you can make your own crypto with without giving up your keys, without counterparty risk. This is the way to actually participate in true DeFi. What is left of crypto is Hex. Period. This is all
else is being institutionalized and compromised.
This is all that's left.
Institutionalized and compromised.
It's all that's left. That's it. Hex is all that's left in crypto. And I am 100% full believer in that. There is no way you can tell me otherwise. There is no way you can try and bullshit me about your Bitcoin. It's not the same. It is a completely rigged game that you're living in over there. It's some fantasy world that you're living in over there. And there isn't even any technological advances that can go on over there. All of the DeFi products that can be useful are already over here. They're here in PulseChain. There's lots of different versions of them. Everything that can be thought of out there under the sun, the buy and burn, the rigmarole, round and roundhouse, all that bullshit. It's all here already, So you can't fight me on this, Bitcoiners. You can't. Your game is the jig is up.
When Bitcoin was initialized, it was the people's coin. And anybody could run it, like you said, the exe file, anybody could run it from their own computer, no specialized equipment, from their own computer, running an exe file.
Yep.
The problem is it has been over time slowly institutionalized, incorporated, and then, like I said, you got the guys that basically have the mine and they want to sell you the shovels. And it's not for the people. And if you are not participating in the network, if you're not getting your share of the coins, I don't care. Forget the value for the moment. Bitcoin was worth nothing.
Yep.
Okay. It was worth pennies too. In fact, the first listing for Bitcoin was 1,309 Bitcoin for $1. Think about that for a second.
People didn't want to buy that.
People didn't want to buy it.
I didn't want to buy any of it.
It didn't make sense to mine 50 Bitcoin block at that point, did it? Because you were burning more power than you were making in money. But you weren't mining Bitcoin. You were mining Bitcoin when it was a small price. But if you would have held that Bitcoin, it had a future valuation. So you were mining it at that day's value, but you didn't have to sell it and for a future evaluation. So what is Hex going to be in the future? I don't know. Have a bag when we find out.
And that's
probably a good idea.
And that's why I the people that are screaming and crying about the T-share right now, you don't get it.
Value.
You don't understand it. It's changed. The days of cheap Hex are over with, and we knew that was going to happen. Right now, it's pretty damn cheap. In the future, it's going to do the same thing. We're going to be in another position where, yeah, that Hex was a penny. The thing is doing the same. The cycle is doing the same thing over and over again, slapping people in the face, trying to show them history repeats itself. Look at what's going on. Hex hasn't changed. The Hex that was 56 cents is the same Hex that's a penny today.
Yep.
There is nothing different.
Proposition.
It's all about what the people were doing with it at the time.
That's what people don't get is there's a whole lot less of it now.
A whole lot less.
A whole lot less of it now, which means it's going to be harder
get in line
for a new person to get in, get a T-share, and earn any Hex. And not for any, in a short period of time, the rolling stakes, that's been blown out. The rolling stakes thing has been blown out. If you have 500 million Hex and you stake it for 30 days, you get $600. You got 500 million Hex?
Yep, those days are
over. You're going to stake it for 30 days for $600, or you're going to say, fuck it, let me put it out for a bit.
Yeah, the whales can't even play with it anymore.
The whales can't do that. Well, that's actually shark level, but but still, that's what people don't understand. You hear, oh, these whales. Go find another coin that doesn't have a whale, because the whales will take the opportunity from you because you're too dense to decide that you want a portion of that. Enough guppies will eat a whale. The problem is the guppies are too shy and fearful to start nibbling away. It's like, look, if you don't like the way the whales are doing shit, take it from them. They ain't getting no more. They aren't getting any more at this point. Show us how it's done then. You do it. But if you admit defeat, that defeatist attitude, oh, well, I'll never have anything. Let me tell you something. Doesn't matter what you have. Someone always has more than you. If you're going to go through life complaining because someone has a better position than you, your life's going to suck.
Well, if you have that mentality, you're already pre-screwed.
You're pre-screwed. I mean, all you got to do, look, if you don't have a position, how do you think you get one?
Exactly.
You build it.
And at a penny, you could get yourself a pretty nice position.
You could get a pretty nice position. You ain't going back to 0.000056. So you are where you are. You can't go back in the past and change what you've done. You can only take the steps you can today to change the position, change your entry point. And if you're over leveraged, that's where you get screwed. This is not a buy once scenario. This is participation. Okay. That doesn't that it's not a one-time thing. And anybody that told you it was a one-time thing, oh, you just do this once, that's a lie. And that's not what we've ever taught.
No.
So
the only thing that has changed, and I think it's setting up, I think that the move that was made by the OA wallet was to set up price action and to set up price action for this bull market.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
and, the days of making easy hex are over. And like you said, those people are going to have those positions, period, end of story, no matter what. That's what happens when people get into all of these things early. The Bitcoin, early adopters, which I wasn't, the Ethereum early adopters. I got a piece of that action, but I mean, the people that got in earlier in the thing always end up with, sizable bags, and a lot of them usually end up getting rid of them. And they don't really affect the system that much, just like what we're seeing here at Bitcoin. You don't see, whales dumping the price and this and that kind of stuff. So it's a different hex, but it's still the same concept. It's still delayed gratification. It's still
it's not different. It's just, look, if you reduce the yield by 4x, right? You reduce the yield by 1/4. That means in order to make what you were originally making, you only need a 4x in price. You're right back where you started. Yeah. And people don't get that, because are you selling today? Then what do you care about the price today if you're not selling today?
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes you feel a certain way. But
because people are impatient.
Is Hex not going to do a 4x? So go ahead and earn your coins now. Hex is probably going to do a 4x.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's just this defeatist attitude that you hear. You know where our FUD comes from now? Our FUD comes from within. We don't know. Nobody's challenging us anymore. Nobody's trying to argue or debate us anymore. No. Where does our FUD come from? Our FUD comes from within, where people are mad that the choices that they've made or entry points that they've made were poor. And, they have grass is greener on the other side syndrome. Okay. Grass is greener on the other side. Okay. Go out there, invest in those things.
Go to Solana.
Go to Solana. Go to the thing that goes down every other month. Literally, it went down 6 times in the first year. Every other month it was down.
Yeah.
Really?
So here's the thing, though. We do have Rabby Wallet. We've got DBank. There's still there's still gatekeeping that's going on, and so you might call that FUD. Okay. And the fact is that outside people are going to look at that type of thing, and they're going to say, I'm not getting involved with this. Now, that's the issue that we have. And so ultimately, that's the feelings. And as you can see right here, you see all that, the colorations here. Unfortunately, that is the feelings that most people have. Okay. Now, remember, when you're looking at a chart, the chart is nothing more than emotions. So as soon as you have red candles going down, those are bad emotions. When what comes out of that? FUD. People start being a little bitches, unfortunately. Now, here's the thing. Ultimately, we're just waiting for Ethereum. All right. And this is a message for everyone out there. Okay. We're literally just waiting for Ethereum to go up. Once Ethereum starts going up, which it will pretty soon, it'll pop off. But once it does, okay, then we're going to go up. All right. Once we start going up, the green candles, it solves all. And ultimately, we're in a good spot because we're here. Okay. The question is, how are we going to get new people in? Right. So we need to take action and go out and start trying to get people actually into here, because ultimately, when you're looking at it, we have a lot of builders. We got the most amount of streamers. We have the most amount of active people on, I would say active people on, say, Twitter or X. What is holding us back? It's just simply that these I don't want to say institutions necessarily, because if you look at a Coinbase, I guess you could call that an institution, but there's these certain things that just keep gatekeeping us, and we need to become more visible to the wider audience.
Nate, that has been par for the course from day one. Everybody, I put out a post just the other day. We started day one with Richard launch day. Richard's on the show with 3 attorneys that are trying to say that he's going to jail and we're all going to lose our money and we're all a bunch of idiots. Launch day. That's how we started this whole market. Okay. So
how did that get there too?
Reaching
Because I remember seeing that, but I don't remember even how it, because it was like
Tone Vase.
moment one. Oh, it's Tone
I'll
Vase.
tell you how that happened.
Yeah, Tone
Okay.
Vase.
Tone Vase got destroyed in a debate where
Yeah.
Richard basically said this guy's charging you money for a steak dinner to sell you Tom DeMarc's indicator. The TD indicator isn't even his. He's selling his version of somebody else's indicator, and then he's charging you X amount of money for a steak dinner, and he's got the nerve to call me a scammer. And Toad's
Richard
like,
Hart.
well, people don't got to pay for it. So anyway, Tone goes back and he gets all his attorney friends and then he forms his little gang squad. And then on launch day, he puts him in the ring with all these attorneys where Richard just basically had to sit with this basic mosh pit of attorneys trying to argue with him and tell him he's breaking security laws and everything else. By the way, how's that looking now?
Yeah. And they
Looks
were
like in a court of law, the SEC was unable on their own turf to present a claim.
Yeah.
Step one. Yep.
Failure to present a claim. Screw the jurisdiction thing. The other half of that is plain and simple. They failed to present a claim. Even if there was jurisdiction granted, they failed to present a claim. And I don't care how many times I got to say that till I get that through people's heads.
Yeah.
The judge dismissed it. Saying that the SEC withdrew it is like saying they quit 2 months after they got fired.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's what happened. I watched it in real time. We watched it. You know, we watched the judge rip their argument to shreds.
Rip them a new asshole.
Just right in front of all of us. And it was like, wow. You know,
Eagle AI's right. He didn't even
brilliant.
sleep for 30 hours because he was so busy trying to get the Hex launch.
Yeah,
and wanted to go off perfectly. By the way, how many? And they also said that Richard was going to steal all our Bitcoin if we free claimed.
Yeah, I remember that one.
How many people lost? How many people lost Bitcoin?
0.
How many reports of Bitcoin have you heard stolen by Richard Hart? You know, that was the first claim that they made. And we had our largest streamer turncoat on us. The guy that had like 20,000 followers, we had like 10. You know, none of us were anybody in the crypto space before any of this started. We had like 10 followers. We would be lucky if 10 people showed up to our chat. It was, you know, just a couple of us out there that were willing to go out there and say anything. And yeah, I mean, it's like the FUD today. It's like, what FUD? What FUD? You guys, you know, it's like you haven't experienced FUD until you've got 200 trolls on every comment that you say, calling you a scammer and a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was like for me and RG day one. We were the outnumbered. You know, like Hexicans today, they go and they retaliate, right? We dropped Rabby Wallet down to a 1-star review. It wasn't like that before. No, you didn't have friends. We didn't have any friends. We were blocked. We were dismissed. We had our channels shut down.
Yep.
Dude, we had to campaign to get our channels back up. It was stupid. Frickin' Bankless got me banned because I put the Cry Me the River song with a cup holding underneath Soy Hoffman's little
great.
beard. And since I put Cry Me a River, they got me copyright strike banned.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
They still cried.
So now everybody here right now, you can go on right now and join Discourse Syndicate. You can come on camera. You can have your face known. You can have your opinion shared. You can do exactly what we've done from the very beginning. You've always had that option to do so. And now you can do it freely. And you don't have near the amount of attacks and stuff. They leave you alone. You're on the winning team.
Yep.
You're on the winning team. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Mhm.
So obviously I was not here for the origins of Hex, right? I'm actually more of a PulseChain myself. Now, so the Bitcoin or the Hex amplifier, that was where you trade in your Bitcoin for Hex, correct?
No,
was Ethereum.
Bitcoin was so
Bitcoin
originally Hex was going to be a different animal altogether. It evolved. Originally, the only way to get Hex was the Bitcoin free claim. That was it. There was no adoption amplifier.
And you just signed a signature with your wallet and said, "Hey, I've got this much Bitcoin," and you got 10,000.
Okay. So, but the amplification was with Ethereum again.
With Ethereum,
so,
yeah.
Now I remember 2 weeks ago, me and Will went through the Hex white paper, right? And when this amplifier came up, it sounded very familiar, a lot like a sacrifice, and and there's been some interesting claims about when everything started going parabolic. There was a couple of wallets that had a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum that ended up going straight into Hex. Now, it's very familiar because we currently are looking at the SAC funds that have 174 or is 166,000 Ethereum currently in the treasury. And a lot of people are sitting there saying that as soon as Ethereum hits like 7,400 or whatever, that's
Richard's not buying your bags. Okay, I'm just going to stop this right now. Richard's not buying your bags. You're not going to GameStop, buying something for $70, going back to the store and selling it for $700.
I'm just calling a spade here.
Yeah.
What are you calling a spade a spade?
Speculation can be there, right?
Well, the speculation is that you're how to actually do that. Where the adoption amplifier worked out was when the OA or a whale or whatever you want to say did what was called market matching. The daily delta, printing daily green candles instead of daily red ones. All you have to do is put in the amount of money that it could be sold for in the market, and that stops the arbitrage opportunity, and that stops the assholes from coming in and buying $10,000 worth and dumping it on the market and devaluing everybody else's bag. That's what actually happened.
We had them doing that.
Yeah, that's what actually happened. Was the community was protected because instead of having that constant arbitrage, that was the flaw in the adoption amplifier because it was cheaper, okay, to buy it in the adoption amplifier, and somebody that got in big could then turn around and sell it down on a direct market. So that had to be stopped because what that is, it's like if I sold my masks and I gave a wholesaler half off on it, but then they marked it up $1 more instead of wholesale, instead of selling it for the price that I'm selling it for, they mark it just $1 up because they don't care because they're making $1. Right. So you can't let people devalue your product like that.
And that's what happened. So there was, you would put your Ethereum in, everybody would put their Ethereum in, and there was a certain amount of Hex that was in that bucket every day. Every day, what was it, 800 million or something like that? I forget what it was. But anyway, there was a set amount of Hex every day.
500 million. 500
million. And so however much Ethereum went into that bucket, whether it was 1 Ethereum or 1 million Ethereum, that's what that Hex was divided out to, all of that Ethereum that came out. So if
one person came in and they put a 0.1 Ethereum, technically,
they would.
If that only one person participated, they got all 500 million Hex that day.
At the end of the day. Now, what would happen is that people would get that on the cheap days. Day 33 was 1.8 million Hex per Ethereum, and Ethereum was as low as like $80 at the time.
Plus multiplier if self-refer.
Yeah. So plus multiplier.
2 million.
Yeah. So you can push it up, but that was a day that it came out the most. So when the amount of Ethereum in that bucket was low, they would get that Hex out, take it up to the market, which was a new marketplace. Let's remember now, Uniswap was new. We didn't have Pateas and all these other marketplaces. Uniswap was the decentralized exchange. It was kind of like that. It came out at the same time. It was kind of crazy that we had that tool at the time. So
actually, it came out before us
a little bit. Yeah,
we were literally the only people fucking using it.
We were the only ones using it.
40% of their volume for like 3 months.
Yeah,
and so
made Uniswap.
If you bought it cheap on the adoption amplifier that day and you dumped it on the market, you would pull the price down and all that. So what was happening was we had one guy, and he even, well, there's a video out there of him. His name's Peter. And he tried to make a coin called Wise to compete with Hex and totally fucked it all up. But he sold 150 million Hex and did it on stream and told everybody why he was emergency end staking his 150 million Hex. And he was the guy that was doing that. He was in there arbitraging the shit out of it. And he had a channel, a Telegram channel, and he was arbitraging it. So it was like, okay, enough's enough. And some wallets came in and changed the liquidity. And
it would be like if Coffee today quit Hex publicly and said he's emergency unstaking everything he has. He's getting out and he thinks he should too. Imagine if Coffee did that today.
Yeah, that guy was the big at the time. And then he walked, and we walked all over him. We just said, okay, you think you're smart, buddy? And he split the whole community at that time.
Yeah.
The whole Telegram community, all of Hex split. And we had half of the community calling it a scam and bullshit and go over here to Wise. They would literally come into the Hex chat room and recruit people over. They dedicated a whole chat room to doxing Richard, to coming at all of us that were still streaming. They'd come in my chat rooms. At that time, what was strange is I started getting death threats and DMs and stuff and secret messages and shit. And so all kinds of weird stuff was happening, and it literally split the whole community in half. And I remember having communications with guys like Johnny and Hexo and all that. Like, man, are we going to survive this? Is it going to be okay? This guy, did he just fuck the whole thing up? You know? And it was like, hey, all we can do, onward and upward, trusting what Richard's doing, trusting what we got here. I think that guy's wrong. I think the fact that he's, going to lock his liquidity in there with his Wise token is going to be foolish, blah, 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 blah. And he did. He fucked himself. He screwed the whole thing up. And now he's out peddling other bullshit out. And I saw him in LA not too long ago. But, he came out and did some weird, stupid shit, split the community up. And that was in the beginning, man. That was like our first big riff, our first big FUD, our first, person coming at us. And that was from within. And then
it happened 12 times since.
Yeah, and it just continued.
So the next up was the Hexi catastrophe, which split the community in half again. And that was a big scam, and they had paid promoters in our midst. So yeah, I mean, it was it's happened 12 times over. We don't talk about it because we do the risk diode. So you didn't hear about a lot of this stuff because we didn't talk about it. But they came on the show. We had the Mike the Painter guy that was basically somebody that was paid to represent their group, and he didn't really know what was going on.
He's the guy that's responsible for T-shares.
Yeah,
and a lot of that old history. There was some serious stuff like what we're seeing today, and I think that's why I'm so hard on the community when it comes to unifying and getting our voices together, because we do have a community now, and we do have things are more positive now than ever. Like we don't have, like, you had to figure out on your hands how to stake your Hex for a certain amount of days. We couldn't even stake it properly. You had to
the stream wasn't there. So like when it launched, it was only half of the damn website was up there. You didn't have a T-share rate. You didn't have that T-share chart. You didn't have the calendar to put up there. So no, it was rough. We've come so far. I mean, now we have our own chain. Now we have over 200 dedicated websites to Hex. What coin out there has 200 websites and all the bots and reporting bots and stuff that we do?
And it's been through what we've been through.
It's been through what we've been through. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. You're gonna have to read that tweet, Nate, that really kind of goes through all the stuff that it's like I will not be shaken. It's like, this is just ridiculous. So you got somebody mad. We got somebody mad. Oh, Richard lied to me. I was fooled. I was bamboozled. Okay, dude, go on that new chain that you're about to promote. Go ahead. See how that works out for you. You already left the community and picked other things. You already tried to scurry everybody over to ETHW, and you told everybody dump all their stuff on ETH and move over to ETHW because that's where the money was, and you were making a killing, and you were making $40,000 a day. Well, if you were, maybe you could have moved out of that little one studio apartment that you're living in. If you were.
Oh, this is a good one. We all pretended to know how T-shares worked for a long time. Now,
Well, that's just it. When it really kicked in,
for nothing, man, nothing. I literally, like in the early days when Richard was, first days of the adoption amplifier, I was in a stream, I was in the chat room. I'm like, bro, please explain T-shares. And he's like, God damn it, I'm sick of you dumbasses not knowing this. It's very simple. Here's how it works, and of course I still didn't get it even when he explained it. And over and over again, it took me time and time again. And then finally, we had the inventor of the T-shares, Dev Kyle, came onto the show, and I'd been talking to him and personally and whatnot. And he came on the show, and we went over T-shares, and it finally clicked, and I finally got it. And then I was, a T-share warrior from that point on. But it took us a long time to figure it out. But Richard,
and people don't even know that. If it were not for Dev Kyle, Hex wouldn't be the Hex we know it is today. It would never have had the T-shares.
Oh.
The T-shares were designed to ensure that the system longer always pays better.
Yes.
And
because
without that mechanism, it didn't work. You would have that front running. I mean, of course, we had a lot of things that were invented later that totally bypass that. And then you've got things that capitalize on the bonuses. If you pull together, you get part of that. Every time something has been tried to kind of fix it, it hasn't worked out well because it gives people another alternative, and then it dilutes things.
Yeah.
And then those things don't, because they're liquid, they don't hold their value because they're so liquid. I expect them to go up as they get closer to their due date, to their redeemable value. That's when you'll kind of see a surge as they get closer. But the problem is when the people that are trying to bypass the system for the more liquid option, well, that's because they're not long holders to begin with. So you get that short-term behavior in those assets anyway. So
that was my lady. Please, really, you too. I'm gonna put you in timeout with Dorsey. That was a run. Well, forever is RG. Explain a T-share, because it was extremely difficult. But
we had Big Pep. Big Pep was our spreadsheet guy. So we didn't have Hexfire. We didn't have Hex.Vision really back then. Well, we did, but nobody knew how to use Hex.Vision. So Big Pep actually sat down and set up spreadsheets, and he would do daily spreadsheets where he would talk about the system state, kind of much like Crispy Man does today. But he actually has the full website and everything. You're able to look at all the interesting dynamics and stuff of the system and the system state. But Big Pep was our dude back then.
Yeah.
He was the one with the spreadsheets. He's the one that really kind of laid that T-share thing out, even for RG that didn't get it immediately. Eventually it kicked in. I know you got to get to something, but when I finally understood T-shares, I freaked out, and I went on a show with Hex Lion and A-Bit back in the day when they were still Gun-Ho Hex.
Yeah.
And it was Johnny Chaos is wrong, right? I realized how exponentially that the T-shares were going to grow. I did not know why exactly the system was giving me that data, but I knew it was going to grow. So I was wrong about the why, but I wasn't wrong about the fact that it was exponentially going to grow, which it did. So today, it's 4 times more expensive for a T-share in Hex terms than it was, at the very beginning. 10,000 would have done it. Now it's 40,000 plus, going on to 50,000 pretty soon. It's going to be 50,000 Hex, guys, to just get a T-share in Hex.
And where did it start at? 6?
10.
Was
10.
It, yeah, I was going to say 10, wasn't it?
10?
It was 10.
Yeah.
I remember when it was 60. For some reason, that was I remember 60. It's dang, it's going up fast.
And so it's really hard for new people coming in right now to get T-shares. If they don't get a significant amount of Hex to start with, they're not going to get the T-shares. So in a way, it's kind of leaning towards it's almost getting the ASIC level. It's now you can't just have a computer, you got to have an ASIC. So we're kind of seeing a little bit of that replication in the system where you have to have much more invested to be part of that pool. But as long as you have some, you can earn some, which unlike with Bitcoin, just having a computer is just not enough.
And now to
Just
keep
having an ASIC isn't enough.
moving forward, you need price action, and price action changes everything on that,
Yep.
And so right
That's
now,
where-
it's my opinion that we're skewed. We're extremely skewed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was set by an event that the OA created.
And that's not necessarily permanent, because he was at two ends of the extreme. We had a lot of hex, and now we have next to nothing hex coming out, right? So we got two ends of the extreme. And the OA has the option to either end those stakes or even emergency unstake those. And since the majority goes back to the OA, it's not really losing anything.
Yeah.
And there's a concept I call the random pinata theory, which I think would be a really good marketing strategy, is if just every once in a while he decides to pop one of those stakes. Because then everybody used to applaud. We get like a 20 hex payday. Everyone's like, whoa, 20 hex. You realize at that time, it's like, it was a fraction of a penny then too, but we were excited because we were getting 20 hex per t-share, if that event happened. So I think that kind of thing could happen again if maybe one of these stakes pops, because he's trying to rebalance it, because maybe we went from one extreme to maybe it's not enough yield right now. Right. We had Dip Catcher saying, okay, it was too much yield. And Richard said, okay, all right, let's go no yield. Let's see how you guys like that. Right. So now you're only getting 1.5 X per day per T-share. How about that? Now none of y'all getting anything. You whale, you getting $600 a month.
And it's almost like, look what I can do. Look what Hex can do. Look what the OA can do. Look how
adjust.
It's I remember the argument was, telling people that there's 38% APY is just ridiculous. You can never make marketing off of that. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, how about 1.5?
Yeah. But see, the thing is that the people don't understand that is in hex terms. They see that 38% and they're like, that's unachievable. Well, if you're running the contract that's printing the coin, you can give that person 38% more coins. It's not dollar value. So that's the part that people confuse, but it scares them off initially because it sounds completely unsustainable. But literally, you have the factory, you are producing the product. So it could be any number. It could double, it could triple, it could quadruple. You could get 100x more coins if you wanted to be super hyper inflationary and divvy that up to everything, because the contract has permission to mint those coins. So it's always sustainable.
Yeah. And we talked early in the beginning about the OA, because everybody, it was, they couldn't find anything wrong. It didn't scam, everything was good. And then the thing was the OA. The OA was the big argument. Oh, Richard runs the OA and the OA can do that. Yeah. And we said, well, let's counter that. When Richard would say things like, well, hey, have you guys heard of a magic carpet ride versus a rug pull, And so we said, okay, well, what if Richard is who we think he is, a benevolent, actor in this? The OA has done benevolent things already. What if it acts like the Fed? What if it acts in as a regulator and moves the rate of return in one way or the other and regulates it to a reasonable amount? That could happen. Well, it's proofed it. It's proofed time and time again. The OA has control of the system. And let's face it, decentralization is good. Centralized ownership by benevolent whales, good kings, that kind of stuff is also necessary, because there are things in this system, even in this DeFi system, that you just have to give some control up to. Period. There is no randomizer or complete DeFi. There is going to be some centralization somewhere.
And even Hexo proved that with how centralized is your coin, where you see, and people are like, oh, BNB. Let me tell you about BNB. They own
before you go on that spiel, Johnny, real quick. I have filet mignon and lobster that is coming out right now, so it is time to go to dinner.
Okay.
So with that being said, I just want to go ahead and say something real quick. What we need to start doing is we need to start trying to expand. All right. We need to start getting the word outside of ourselves. Okay.
That's true.
It doesn't matter about the infighting or anything. Ultimately, we need to start getting all these messages that we love talking to each other about to the outside world. And so I think everybody needs to work on advertising and start getting things out there. And that's going to be what I'm going to end on. And I got a delicious meal here ready.
Happy anniversary, I guess. Something's
Sorry, Nate,
no, it's just a normal day.
Enjoy.
Right on. Thanks for having me on, Captain.
Or is this just a Friday night?
It's just a Friday night.
Wow. All right. I'm moving in.
Hell yeah, man. I would love to have Cass cook you a steak. That'd be amazing. She cooks so good, bro.
Oh, okay. I'm counting on it. All right, my man.
Enjoy,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Have a good night.
We'll
Enjoy,
see
man.
you.
See you later, guys. DJ responsibly.
Yeah. Till I said hi.
There's always something to talk about. Is the freaking problem, and there's just so many rants to go on, and I hate it because I end up walking over people and stuff too. So I just
Well, you know, when you get to a certain age and acumen in life, you stop dealing with bullshit. You stop caring about what other people think, especially when you know they're wrong. And it makes it difficult to try and communicate with people, especially when you got a platform like this or whatever, when you're trying to get it through people's heads that, hey, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Not only have I lived it, but I've been here this whole time for this thing. And what we've said is right. And you should probably fucking listen. And, you know, and everything that we have said about, you know, Hex and what it does and how it works and has been right, you know, and I'm not talking about PulseChain and I'm not talking about PulseX. We've never really like shield all that. I told everybody when PulseChain came out, you know, Richard's telling you you're sacrificing. So shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear anybody say anything about what comes out after the sacrifice. It's an L1. L1s are hard. So it took them a long time to build it. Took them a long time to launch it, whatever. It's the Wild Wild West.
and it's been sideways for a year. Stop bitching about last year.
Hasn't proven itself. You know, a DEX, great. We got another DEX. There's a lot of cool things he could do with it. You know, we'll have to wait and see how that works out. But for now, why aren't we talking about the base crypto, which is Hex, which is changing the whole DeFi space, that is actually the only DeFi coin in existence. Nothing else out there operates, functions, or works like it, or has proven itself like it. So we need to be pushing that and getting behind that. It's very simple, very simple. Let the L1 and the DEX and everything do its own thing. But Hex is the GOAT. Hex is the thing that's going to be promoted. Hex is the thing that changes the world. Hex is the thing that people want. Hex is what fixes crypto. And if we don't get behind that, then we're going to have continue to have the infighting, continue to have, you know, the, this and that, and the woe is me's and everything else. And it's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. Get behind the thing that is working and is the GOAT. That's what I say.
PulseChain was built for Hex. So, I mean, at the end of the day, right? It all comes back down to that. So it seems pretty self-explanatory. And I mean, for the whole sideways for a couple of years thing, it's like, I don't know if you guys saw Access Live's post today. It was really interesting. So Tron went down for sideways down for 798 days.
Yeah, I saw
before
that.
It rocketed. And
700 and something days, 60 days.
So high 700.
It took 7 years to freaking almost hit $1. But
What's
Doge,
that?
you know, Doge took like 7 years before it did anything. Then it almost hit $1.
Exactly.
So,
That's why having conviction is important. Understanding what you're holding.
Just the supply is so tight that people just, you know, and you can say it over and over again. It doesn't matter how tight the supply is if you got it sitting on your shelf and nobody's buying, you know. But the conditions are for real. It's just people aren't motivated yet. And I really think the key to that is just changing that daily delta. The thing that really moved Hex, and I did a little video post about this. People think, oh, well, Richard did it. It's a one-man show. No, it was the behavior of the people at the time. The behavior of the people at the time were buying Hex, removing it off the market, and staking it. Without that staking mechanism, Hex would not have done a 10,000X. Without the behavior and the strength of the community having conviction, nobody would have got a 10,000X. If we treated it like any other meme coin, it wouldn't have done that. People, the problem is there were people that never believed in it, that weren't staked long term, and they benefited from the behavior of the other people that were using it as it was designed, and they left. And guess what? It'll happen again. At some point, it's going to go up because people are going to stake. They are going to realize that this is a way to produce coins yourself without any specific hardware, without any overhead, without any cost. And those things do have a value, and those things can be traded for other things that you want. So therefore, it is a currency. It is making you more crypto.
Yeah, and it's not a validator. You know, I mean, it's not even, you're not even a validator.
You're not even a validator. You don't have to have any special training. You don't have any upkeep. You've got, anybody can do this. Everybody can participate. You're not locked out because you can't afford a certain amount of equipment. You're not locked out because you're not in somebody else's pool.
What does one t-shirt cost today? You said it was almost 50,000.
41-ish thousand.
It's like $140 on Ethereum and $240 for a t-shirt, and you don't even have to have a whole one.
So $240. So imagine if you were buying a Bitcoin miner that is never going to go out of style, never is going to be needs to.
It only gets better with time.
It only gets better with time, and you will make. We know for a fact that you end up generating the t-share ends up generating more yield as time moves on. You'll see it. You'll start to see. It'll top to 1.5, then it'll go to 2, and then it'll go to 2.5. It'll continue to rise, where you can't spend that kind of money. Imagine if you were able to spend that kind of money, $300-400 on getting something that's going to make you a couple Bitcoin a day,
and you still have your tokens. So if you wanted to sell it back, you could sell it back.
Yeah.
Right. You decide you're out, you can get something for it instead of trying to sell your miners off in an auction. You can get something back out of it. Right. So there's that aspect too. So not only the overhead, but it has redeemable value.
Yeah. And
depending on where the price is, if you believe we're at the bottom, then you should be able to at least get your money back out of it.
Right.
You're smiling a lot, RG.
Well, I get excited because I go back to 13, 14 years ago when 14 years ago when Bitcoin came out, and you think about clicking on the exe and running it from your computer and how it went and what it turned out to be 10 years from there. Where did Bitcoin end up 10 years? We're only in our fifth year, right? I mean, we're just
6 years in December.
Yeah, we're just getting started. We're into our fifth year. And we know that Hex is built better than Bitcoin. And we don't just say that to slap Bitcoin in the face. We don't just say that as a market.
It's inclusive. It's inclusive.
Yeah,
right?
It gets everybody the opportunity.
If you want to buy something to show off for your friends so you can brag, first of all, if you got one Bitcoin, they ain't sitting at your table anyway. You're not good enough for them.
No.
Okay. Your one Bitcoin ain't buying you a seat at their table. These guys, and you're buying somebody else's coin that they mined for free. You're paying $100,000 for somebody else's coin that they mined for free, and you didn't even have the option to mine it.
No.
Okay. Hex is inclusive because you get to participate.
Yep.
It's a productive asset. You're not just you're not just a consumer of somebody else's goods. You are the factory.
Yep. And the only thing that changes is the price of entry. It's just because of the value,
Yep.
Like if you can get into Bitcoin today and actually have a miner that produces
actually worked,
Bitcoin, which you can't because of the hardware itself, the mining pools, all of that. Like, forget it. You are not going to secure a block. It's just virtually impossible for a normal human being to do so. So
because it changed. It wasn't like that. It was more like Hex back in the day, but it's changed. So it's not that the Bitcoiners are wrong back then, because it was inclusive, but it's become an elite club. And what happens when you've got an elite club? Eventually, people are going to go off and make their own club.
And see, Hex, you can't do that. Hex, you can't do that with Hex. You can't change it. You cannot change it that way. Again, the dynamics can be moved a little bit, but you cannot change the fact that that everybody is able to participate, like you said, and
Yep.
in the exact same fashion that everybody else was able to participate. And if you could buy a Bitcoin miner at whatever price that's going to produce a Bitcoin, you'd buy it. You'd buy it for $100,000 if you can create $100,000 Bitcoin, right? And that exists here in Hex. You can get enough. You can stake enough to get you that Hex right now, and and the value proposition is completely blows away what's in if it even existed, would blow away what's in Bitcoin. So
And if you want Bitcoin, guess what?
you can buy it
You
with
can mine your Hex and trade it for Bitcoin, wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum network. And then you could take it and unwrap it, and you've got your Bitcoin. So Hex can make you Bitcoin, but Bitcoin ain't going to make you more Bitcoin.
No.
So there you go.
or Hex.
Or Hex.
Unless number go up, which is that's the misnomer of crypto. Everybody thinks that number go up is going to solve everything. That's not the case. All right. Hey, Susie Q, welcome. Good to see you. I actually ran into Susie Q at the Bitcoin convention. She was there running around. That was cool seeing her. I ran into some people. Like I was just walking through the Bitcoin con, and some guy comes up to me and goes, "Captain." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like I didn't know who he was. This guy from Nigeria, and he's like, "Oh, I'm from Nigeria," you know. And took some pictures, and he's like, "Man, I didn't know there was going to be any Hexicans here. It's so cool. I'm glad you came, and I didn't think I'd meet any. I just came for the Bitcoin convention, and blah blah blah." So that was cool, actually running into a Hexican there. That was
I'm glad you could do it, man. I don't know that I could deal with those people.
I had a hard time, man. But I was soaking it all in. I wanted to get the feel because, we put on our events, and I wanted to see, man, I walked by their AV equipment, and they had $3 million worth of AV equipment. And it was for show because it was all out in the open. It wasn't back behind it was all for show. And they had their booth raised, their stage raised up, where they had their little, what do you see it when the sportscasters all get up there and they talk with each other, and they had that whole play-by-play thing going on up there inside the room. It was all for show. It was all marketing. The whole thing was just marketing. Steak and Shake was there.
Isn't that funny?
Shake Shack.
It says Steak and Shake. They're proof of work. You stake on proof of stake. So what kind of shit is that?
This is a
really
Bitcoin shirt
about it.
It was actually the Shake Shack had this like ploy on the Steak and Shake or whatever, and they had a bunch of cows in there, a bunch of girls dressed up as cows dancing around and shit. And yeah, it was something else, man. It was something else. Now, but the enthusiasm of all the people there, they don't know what they don't know. And, of course, it wasn't my place to go find a soapbox and say, "This evil Bitcoin is destroying all of
Don't buy that damn miner. Are you kidding? They're selling you a shovel, and it doesn't even work. And the handle's going to fall off of it."
And as I'm walking, the hard thing, I'm walking up and down these rows of mining, companies. And I'm just like, you guys are all full of shit. I'm just thinking to myself, these guys they're just, and there's people talking to their booths and signing cards and stuff. And I'm like, oh, fucking bad, man. This is so bad. And every once in a while when I glance around, I'd see Fidelity, BlackRock, you name it, you name a bank, a financial institution, they all had their names all over the place. JP Morgan, it was everywhere, and I was just
it's been institutionalized, and I don't want to be institutionalized.
And there was 30,000 people there.
30,000.
30,000 people.
Oh, dear.
There was no, I've been to some Bitcoin conventions where there's, a couple thousand, whatever. This was supposed to be 30,000 people, and it was a spectacle. It was a real spectacle. And it was
30,000 followers, man, but only 200 of them actually like me.
Well, yeah, I got 20,000 and I think maybe 10 like me. So you're good, man. Don't worry about it. Oh, wait a second here. Let's look at Heximo. One Heximofo. Good to see you, man. Says, what is the current math on buying Hex and staking to make that same amount of Hex from daily payout? To make that same amount of Hex. Okay, what is the current math on buying Hex? Oh, so how much Hex do you have to buy and how long do you have to stake it in order to make a daily? That's difficult to do at 1.5.
And then you've got price appreciation. So your Hex that you're making today at whatever price doesn't matter because you don't collect that Hex until the end of your stake. So at the end of your stake, then you'd be able to actually calculate what you could actually sell that Hex for at that time frame, because when you're mining, you're actually just accounting for future Hex.
Yeah, it has.
Because Hex is burnt. That's what people don't. One thing people don't get: 95% of the supply is burnt.
Gone.
It's burnt right now. There's only 5% of the supply in circulation that isn't staked. That people totally get that. When you start talking market cap, you're calculating based on Hex that was ever minted, but the fact is that Hex isn't on the market anymore.
No.
So there's room for people to buy that last 5% and stake it, and that's all there's room for.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of Hex that that doesn't come out.
That doesn't come out, ever come out.
Doesn't ever come out. That people lose their keys. People, there's going to be all that stuff, and then that inflation will never see the light of day. There's people that.
Sorry, Heximofo, I wasn't really yelling at you. I was just excited about the thing.
You wasn't yelling. But yeah, it's just that's a hard thing to calculate it when you talk about dollars and cents. It's really about and right now it is really hard to say, oh yeah, you're going to make maximum. It was easier back in the day. It's like, oh man, you're making 30% on your return. You're good. You're going to get 30% was an easy one. 1.5%. It's very difficult to try and or 1.5 Hex per T-share is really difficult to try and put a number. The best thing is the longer you stake, the better. Period. Well, story.
If it was 38% and it's that was at 6 Hex, couldn't you just divide it by 4? And 38% APY, just divide that by 4, call it like, I don't know, 9 point something.
Yeah, it's like around 10% actually.
I think
it's still not bad.
I think I saw numbers around 5 or 6, something like that, 6% or something. But
you're not counting for appreciation at all.
Yeah,
that's the other
true.
There's no price appreciation. So if it doubles in price, if you made 10%, but it doubles in price, is that not 20?
Yep.
Yeah. A double changes the whole dynamic of that, right?
Mm-hmm. And a double on a double on a double on a double.
Yeah,
changes the dynamic a few times over.
And how many times have we seen that in the bull run? That's
13 actually over there. Yeah, we had 13 doubles, and you could not blink, and it was done. And 5% of the supply out there, dude. That's the craziest part. It's like we've got a real number now because the OA, there's no mystery. The OA doesn't have, Richard doesn't have all the coins now. They're staked. It's future Hex.
And to get control of them, they got to get wrecked. And that even reduces the supply even more and the ability for the supply to inflate more. It literally makes it even more rare if the OA was to try and pull those coins back out onto the market. Unless those stakes came due, because I know that the OA stakes some shorter stakes. I'm not sure how many stakes were shorter.
Well, there's another neat thing too. The T-share rate is being suppressed right now because the OA is staked, that the reduction of payouts has been reduced. So you're not getting an increase. Before, you had basically a doubling of the T-share rate every 2.5 years. So being 40,000 Hex, it would have doubled up to 80,000 Hex in 2.5 years.
Now it's slowed.
And now it's been slowed down because of the staking action. So right now, in this lull, you're getting an opportunity to still get your T-shares at 40,000 Hex, but it's not a guarantee that if stakes are removed, that doesn't just jump. And in the meantime, right now, what is occurring is that these older stakes that are 5 years and older are ending, and those increase the T-share rates. I mean, to really follow this, Crispy will give you an update of like I'm shilling Crispy's show. I'm not shilling my show. I don't have a show. But Crispy will show you the system state and how that is being affected. And if you're really into that sort of geeky stuff, but right now, all you need to know is that the rate has been slowed. Go ahead.
And you can see where that 5, the 7, and the 10-year, you can see where there's a lot of stakes bunched up there, where you're going to start to see that T-share inflation on the T-share rate go up in those different spots. You know, and it's funny that the 5-year stakes are coming due right here at this, you know, at this.
Well, 10 years they're 50%.
Yeah, 10 years,
50%.
So you get your principal, but you lose your big payday. But go ahead.
But what the thing is though is you won't see a lot of emergency. See, I originally thought I still think that 80% of 555 stakes are not going to go to fruition, or at least the original 555 stakes are going to make it.
Yeah.
But you won't see emergency on stakes because they are losing their big payday bonus. They are losing, and then for what? To sell it for a penny? So people are not incentivized at this point to emergency unstake because they're giving up a large portion of their hex for very small prices anyway. It doesn't make any sense. However, if the price were to shoot up to 20, 30, 40 cents, that's when you're going to start seeing the emergency unstakers. So who gets that hex? The stakers.
Yeah.
So that's when, so people are like, well, I missed out on big payday. No, those big paydays are still out there floating around. You can get your share of that big payday up for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Or 10 years left. Okay. So you still have a chance to get a portion of those tokens because they haven't been distributed yet. Because that dynamic deferred inflationary model, if a person doesn't finish their stake, they just get split back out.
And you know,
if they don't finish their stake, it just gets split back out. So it's a constant loop where it's rewarding positive behavior. So you're not out.
To think about on that is the big payday bonuses were original hyperinflation from the Bitcoin free claims. So what people don't know, or people may not understand, because it is kind of deep, is that the Bitcoin free claim was the big payday bonus. And what I mean by that is whatever, okay, so there was a certain amount of hex, 10,000 hex per Bitcoin, liquid Bitcoin that was out there, liquid. So every Bitcoin that was out there, except for certain wallets, there were certain wallets, I think the Gox wallet, and wasn't there another wallet or something that was?
Yeah, there were a couple wallets that were banned from the list and being able to claim.
So there was a certain amount of Bitcoin out there, and whatever wasn't claimed was what was dished out as the hex towards
We Are Satoshi bonus.
So that was the We Are All Satoshi bonus, which was the big payday. So what's funny is that whole bonus and all of that was built into the system on emergency end stakes, a lot of it might end up back in the OA or into the hands of other stakers that are diamond handed. If it, you know, that's cool how that all round robins and where that all came from and where that
ends up. And they have to finish every single last day to get that bonus.
And you still,
whenever you set your term, you have to spend every single day or you forfeit that entire bonus.
Yep. The bonus one day before your 15-year stake, and you lose your big payday bonus on top of a bunch of your inflation still. You one day is a lot, just a lot. So to honor the contract and honor your stake is important. Very, very important. Now, I joke around and say, hey, hit the emergency end stake button because I get paid. My hands are diamond.
See, I should be like RG. I should tell you not to stake, and I should say never stake, and emergency unstake, and I should. You know, I really got this wrong.
I tell them all the stake, but the emergency end stake button is a function. It is there in the system, and it's there for me.
And people will use it as the price gets higher because which will justify. You know, if it runs up 10x, man, people are going to start justifying because they're going to run the calculation. What do I mean by run the calculation? Well, you go, well, I'm losing half, but I'm getting this much, and I can take that much now, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it.
There's,
So lump sum mentality again is where it falls in. So this reduction in inflation currently is temporary. Price appreciation will change it. So, hey, you get to participate. You get to make coins. You don't know what their value is going to be in the future by the time your stake ends, but you can make sure you have a bag when we find out.
Don't fret, little Hexicans. Here's the word. Hector the Protector and Eagle Owl said it. The Gox me not. I remember it now. It was the Gox me not. If you had coins coming out of the Gox wallets or whatever, they weren't allowed to participate in the big payday bonus or in the free claim, in the Bitcoin free claim bonus. But yeah, so it's the system was built solid. Richard did a great job of it. It's still the best DeFi crypto out there. We just have to go out and advocate for DeFi. That's what's important.
I just think it's simple. Do you actually want a coin that you can participate in and actually get some of the coins?
Yeah, it's that simple. It's that simple. You could almost read the Satoshi white paper and overlay it on Hex.
You can. And that's what he did, was the fact that Bitcoin had been corrupted and commercialized. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about commercial companies that are owning the hash rate and selling the equipment. You can't participate as a normal person. You don't get a chance. It's a big club. It's George Carlin. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
You ain't in it.
Best.
And Richard said that. You know, he said that in the beginning when he built Hex. He was like, "It's over there, man. This is over. This is a sham. It's garbage." And he tried to tell everybody. And before he launched Hex, you know, he was out there. He was smacking people in the face about it and trying to talk about these things. And he went and built it. He built it, and he built DeFi. And that's why he's been, demonized and came out from everybody and every three-letter agency and you name it. I mean, he's been the pariah because he did the thing that they all couldn't do. None of them, all of the other thought leaders out there are just sitting over there with their L1s, just, fiddling with themselves, trying to, justify their existence, and it's funny. I see them talking so big and so bold, like they've got something special, and all they are trying to do is garner favor with the powers that be so that they don't get shut down because they don't have shit to give to anybody. They got nothing. They got nothing over there. All they can do is hope that the three-letter agencies and the governments of the world and the big money houses are going to back them, protect them, and pump their things and keep them in existence, because they aren't. They are far, far away from being what we are, and that is real DeFi. So I am excited, but I am really, really cautiously optimistic about what's about to happen. And I hope that we, again, I keep banging this down, we can all come together and get our asses out there and reach out and start either putting lobbies together or whatever it may be, marketing. We get enough people in this, we get enough people, on some kind of an app that lets you do DeFi on your phone or whatever. We got every 14-year-old in the world, buying Hex and staking it and talking about long-term gratification, be a part of the system.
Eventually, I don't think people are going to even know what chain they're on. Eventually it's going to be to a certain point where, much like the centralized exchanges now, people buy coins on there. They don't even know what the chain is. So I think I think the time of Ethereum being the giant may not necessarily be, because this is the first time we've seen actual mainstream support of really other networks on a massive level. And I think we are moving towards a multi-chain world, and I think we need cross-chain swaps. I think that some of the new apps and stuff will prevent some of that confusion, where you don't really necessarily know what network you're on. So it's kind of like we've learned all this stuff about cross swap, adding custom RPCs, all this kind of stuff that it might be obsolete in the future.
Out of necessity.
Out of necessity, yeah, because of the gatekeeping. We've got so educated because of the gatekeeping. We would have never known that Binance actually owns 99.5% of all the coins. No wonder they're doing so good. They're literally got their own. Nobody has any. They got them all. It's pretty easy to support the price when you got 0.5% floating out there. You just buy it back when they sell it, and you sell it back to them at a higher price. It's pretty easy.
Most people haven't even been out of their exchange with their crypto, let alone bridge or put it in a hardware wallet or a hot wallet, or
and that bridge shit is scary and not as bad as it was with Matic. We talked about that before. Matic was freaking nightmare. 17 hours, don't know where the hell your money is, or if you're ever going to get it back, thinking you got scammed. Yeah, that was some scary shit. Now, oh God, it takes 30 minutes to get my money. I want to push the button and I want it right now. Oh Jesus, you should have tried Matic.
Yeah, 24 hours, or some would get it in 12, and some would get it in 24, and you never knew. It's like,
no, I got mine. Oh shit, I still haven't got mine. It's been 2 days.
Put it in before you.
Poof, there went 10 grand. Oh shit. Oh wait, it's there. Okay, I'm good.
RG33, what's happening? What's happening? Good to see you. How would you recommend to do a ladder today? Ladders are the same as they've always been. It's about you and what your time horizon is.
Be in a position that you don't need to sell, that you feel comfortable, that's money that you don't need right now, because when you make a commitment, set terms you can honor and honor the terms you set, or don't bother to set it at all, because this system is designed that if you don't serve your term, you might as well have staked for half the time.
Yeah. And again, everybody has their own risk tolerance, their own time horizon. And what I would suggest for everybody to do, if you've got, if you are trying to build a ladder, run through AI, CD ladder staking strategies. When we first came into Hex, when I saw what Hex was, when Richard called it,
we didn't have AI.
A block CD. We didn't have AI then, but I was like, well, I'm going to study, what to do with a certificate of deposit, and, what people are doing with them. I had a couple that were just, like we had bonds and CDs and whatnot, but nothing like these ladders. So I looked into the ladder thing, and I think I might have been one of the first people talking about that. And we started talking about ladders and how to put those together, and what they meant and how you did them, because a staking ladder is really just like putting a 401k together, and it's going to pay you later. That's really how you should kind of approach it. Like, okay, when do I want to utilize this for my retirement? Or I'm ready to, sell my business in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, or I'm ready to quit my job in 10 years, or I don't need to do it until 20 years. So I'm just going to throw everything out for 15 years and I'll build a ladder after I get my 15-year stakes out, for some of you young folks, which if I was in my 20s, early 30s, whatever, I'd be looking at, fuck it, everything's going out 15 years. And then I'm going to, build my strategy after that. And DCA myself in. But your ladder needs to be, it's got to fit your risk tolerance, your time horizon, and what it is that you want to do with it. Are you of a certain age where you need to, you're ready to retire in 3 years? Okay, set up a 3-year staking ladder and, put it out.
You can always stake shorter and reassess your situation at that time.
Yeah.
But don't set it out to where that you're not going to be able to honor that. If you're only going to go 5 years, don't set it for 10. RG would like you to set it for 10 and then unstake at 5. Okay. But I'm telling you that you have to be realistic with yourself. If this is money that you want back, you got to decide when you want to reassess your situation at that point. Maybe you want to restake it. Okay. Yeah, you'll get a higher T-share rate, but then you're not locking yourself in. Or you could be one of those people that need to lock yourself in, because that you're going to sell on yourself, and you need to say, look, I'm going to honor my terms. I'm going to set it this way, but just remember, that the system is going to hold you accountable. We call it the truth engine.
Yeah.
The system is going to hold you accountable if you decide to end early, and it's not going to be pretty. So you might as well set it for the time that you really intend to honor. Otherwise, it's not working. Or don't stake it all. You don't have to stake it all. You can hold it liquid. Stay out of my pool. Don't stake. You don't got to stake.
You got to end the trader mentality. It's not a trading tool. It's not something that you should be looking at short term, or it's something that you should be looking at your term.
It's a different product.
Whether that be a year or 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, you've got to look at it like that and utilize it as that tool. That's what it is. And it's the future value of it that you're looking at and how much you're actually getting. If you go in there and play with the staking tool and you start changing the dates of your stake and you see how much active hex you end up getting for putting it longer, I'm telling you, it will show you. It's like, wow, I make so much more going 5 versus 3. I make so much more going 10 versus 5. Oh my gosh, at 3,641 days, which is whatever, 10 years and some change or whatever it is, I'm killing, I'm killing it. At a certain point, you don't make any more, but you will be, after those 15-year stakes, it starts compound. What is it that where does it stop at? How many years is it that it stops at where you don't actually get any more bonus?
So longer pays better is up to 2x bonus, or no?
3,000.
Longer pays better is up to a 3x bonus. Bigger pays better is up to a 2x bonus. And 2x bonus is 150 million.
Forget the bigger pays better nowadays.
bigger pays better is 150 million hex.
Yeah.
And that is so you can get that. But if you wanted to do a rolling stake, you can get up to a 2x multiplier on 150 million hex.
Yeah.
I think it's 3650 is the 10-year stake is the cutoff for the bonus. It caps at that.
Yes.
36.
And that's the 3x. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your cap. But as your stake is still sitting there after that, the super compounding that's going to be happening after that is going to be insane. I mean, it's going to be insane.
Well, and that's going to be based on the state of the system as emergency unstakes happen, or the OA makes moves or reduces the amount of supply. I can't get over the fact that there's really only 5% floating out there, and everybody knows it, and they're like, "Oh, screw this, I'm out, I'm done." It's like there isn't room if people start coming in, there just isn't room.
No, they're going to be waiting in line for your motherfucking hats. I keep saying this over and over.
There isn't room for another 100,000 people. There isn't room for another 100 people to get 1 million hex.
No,
or 2 million hex. Yeah. There's room for it's just not setting on the market right now. So I don't know. It's just small right now.
It's very small, and it's going to get smaller, and it's going to disappear. And eventually, if things change to where regulatory allows things like hex to be invested in by outside,
well, they just said that staking mechanisms on Ethereum are not securities.
Exactly. So
they've already set regulatory clarity for that. And the problem with hex was it was before its time.
Yeah.
There had never been a hex. There had never been this sort of distribution model. And really what it comes down to is it's an inclusive distribution model that has its own locked consensus code that can never be changed. People think Bitcoin's immutable. It's not. What do you think a BIP is? It's a Bitcoin improvement proposal. What does that mean? That means the code can be upgraded, which means the code can be changed. Yep. So when people are saying, oh, yeah, there'd be 21 million Bitcoin ever. Yeah, well, as long as the consensus says that, as long as the guys operating the mining decide that that's a good idea.
This is the real Bitcoin.
Have you guys seen the BlackRock video that in fine print is talking about Bitcoin education? And in fine print, I think it's like the 50-second mark or something like that. It says there's 21 million supply in Bitcoin, and in fine print underneath it, but there's no guarantee that it will stay that forever.
And they're disclosing it right now. And if they end up with the most,
that's a hint and a half for your ass. If it's in there, that's a hint and a half for your ass. That they will utilize that.
That's the warning shot.
And
that's pretty cool, man. That you
and
point
even to
that
get
out.
the 20 million, 21 million out, it's going to take like 110 years or some crazy
120, but yes.
years. So it's like,
So they're talking. It's so far off in the distance. They're playing on this. There's only going to be this so many supplied. We'll be dead by then. So it's inflationary until then.
it's a lifetime of inflation for you.
Because they want to say it's. They want to say it. You know, yeah, our whole life Bitcoin is going to be inflationary. Now you can say net deflationary because of this mechanism or that, whatever, you know, but in actuality, if there are more coins coming onto the market, that is inflating the supply. So yeah, it's
so back to the FOMO of Hex. And I've been speaking about this, and I haven't, you know, gave this analogy lately, but when the thing that FOMOs me about Hex and what it means out there and the supply being as low as it is there are agencies, companies, businesses, people out there trying to generate yield on a daily basis as their business, as their job. They go out there into the stock market and they, you know, trade in the bond world, trade in the stock world, whatever risk on asset it is, high risk, low risk. They're out there trying to make value for their companies. And you see that like in the insurance industry, for instance. So the insurance industry has to use the money that they have to generate yield. That's what they do. And there's people out there that spend their whole day shaking and snorting Adderall in order to make trades that make their company money. And they make percentages, very small, 2-3%, and they're happy. They're making their nut. If they crack a couple percentage points, they're doing good, whatever. If you were to take an industry like that and tell them, hey, you can go ahead and generate yield on Hex. And if you're making a few percentage points, 6, 7, 8, 9% on Hex, on stakes, you're killing it. You're crushing it. So imagine the value that is to a marketplace if they allow staking to start becoming kind of like a yield generating tool for these industries and companies. Well, I always said that that's possible. And that means that Hex is going to go down to zero supply if any industry gets allowed to jump into it like that and utilize it in that fashion. So people will be waiting in line for you to unstake and drop your Hex on the market so that they can use it as a yield generating tool. So yeah, there is all kinds of cool freaking things that Hex can do in the marketplace to fix it and to make itself more valuable that people haven't realized or understood yet. And you know, I talk bad about the Genius Act and everything as a warning, because I think that we need to keep an eye on it and stay ahead of the game on it. But there are things that are opening up. For instance, like that, it is not considered anything that's on Ethereum that's staking is not considered a security, and you cannot stake stable coins and generate yield. So that's a good thing for Hex, to be honest. There's a lot of other things in there and poison pills and bad things for DeFi. But that's one thing that puts us in a marketplace that, man, if we get this thing marketed right, if people see it, if people want to use it for things like that, then, and there's a whole market for it. There's people that are going to make money off of that. And so, that's going to make Hex even more rare, which is going to push the value of it up to exponential rates. Richard used to say something to the community that a lot of people, maybe, I don't know if it resonated with them or what, but he said, you guys just don't know how high the price of Hex can go. In that scenario right there, it is way more valuable than Bitcoin, way more valuable. And, you know, I get shit from the Bitcoiners about this, but it's like, you don't have the tech. You don't have this kind of system. You don't have the operability of this coin in Bitcoin. You just don't have it. You have to build some Rube Goldberg machine to try and get the thing to do anything. And it's all here. It's all done. It works. It's proven. And it's going to become very, very rare and very, very valuable to a lot of people, and not just people like me that want to retire, that want some kind of a nest egg, or young people that want to put 15-year stakes together and have something in the future for themselves. It's not just valuable for the regular user. It's valuable to the enterprise space. It's real valuable to the enterprise space. And if the enterprise space sees it and utilize it, and the first company that finally does, it's going to go absolutely fucking ballistic. That's how I see it. I mean, writing's on the wall, folks.
I hope so, man. I really hope that they'll be fantastic.
I'll be right.
I gotta run.
Oh, Johnny, you staying there for a minute? I gotta do something real quick. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I gotta take off. Good to hang with you, RG. Good to hang with you, Johnny.
Thanks for coming, bud.
Good to see you,
Yeah,
man.
thank you, guys.
I was trying to let you get some talk, but it looked like RG stole the stage again.
No, you're totally fine. You guys are it's always great to listen to you guys. I didn't add anything. You guys are saying everything perfectly. All right, I'm just gonna sit here and let you guys do all the work. So it's great.
It's like the old days.
Take it easy, Johnny.
All right, take care, man.
See you, everyone.
Look, I'm back on stage and RG ran away. Whose show is it anyway? That's what this should be. Whose show is it anyway? Oh, I want to point out something, guys, why we're having this conversation. Okay? The thing is, look at how much time we spent today talking about the product. Are you listening? You can't hear me until your head's in the earphones, can you?
Not until I got the headset on. So
okay,
you got to be able to.
I was pointing out that look at how much time we've spent talking about the product and not the man.
Exactly.
Because the product and the man are separate. And to the outside world, guys, they're not fans of Richard. We aren't winning any brownie points with the outside world trying to insert our opinions of the founder in everybody's head and saying, oh, you've got to like this guy, go watch him. You got to like this guy. No, what we need to do is we need to focus on the product that was made, that he commissioned to make, that was made by developers that were not him, based on his idea, something that has been operating flawlessly and doing exactly as it's designed to do, that he told you from the very beginning, you do the work, you mint the coins, you're the only person in the world that can make your coins. If I die tomorrow, hex code still works. He told you from the start, this is up to you. And we don't need, it's frustrating because look, I get it. We like and appreciate him. The rest of the world doesn't. And it's not really a sell point for them. When people come into our community, what do? When people come into our community, they're like, oh, yes, we love Richard. Oh, yes, we love Richard. Oh, Richard's the greatest. And next thing you know, they're selling you something else. Yep. Because they're marketing to Hexicans, right? If they were marketing to the outside world, they wouldn't be in here going, oh, we love Richard, and then turn against him later.
Yeah.
That's
you see really, from the guy Peter we were talking about earlier. That's exactly what he did. He came in, hex, and then boom, I'm going to put my thing out. And here's why Richard's an asshole. Here's why Hex is blah blah blah.
It's next thing you know, we've seen the switch flip too many times.
Yep.
And and since this is crypto, we're not supposed to be dependent on a founder. Name another coin where everybody expects the founder to do all this extra stuff. That for a community that was supposed to be no expectations, we as a community look like Oliver from whatever the show was. What is it? Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
The wall saying, please, sir, I'd like some more. We look like a bunch of beggars, guys.
Yeah.
Please pump my bags. Please stream so I can get out. Please, Richard's not going to show up when he knows for a fact. It's like I want to do another pretend phone call. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, Richard wants to let you know that he knows that you want him to stream so that you can dump and get out.
Yeah.
He ain't helping you.
Yeah. What can he tell you that he hasn't already told you? What can he
in the 5,000 videos, right?
right? I mean, it's all out there. It's not freaking rocket science. This thing is easy. It's just crypto done better. It's Bitcoin done better. And we've laid it out there a million times. We laid the whole thing out this whole stream, gave you the history, told you its value, showed you how to even use it, all that stuff in one stream here in the last couple of hours.
What car do you drive?
A Toyota.
Who was the founder of that car? Who designed that particular car? Do you know? What's your favorite video game? Okay. Who was the lead game designer? Do you know? So, too much focus. Look, Richard can brag about his products, and he has the full right to do that, but that's on him. We don't have to brag about Richard to people that just want to look at the product. Are you selling the product or are you selling the man? Yeah. That's really kind of the problem that we have, because look, when you have, you can't expect everybody to have the same feelings that you do and accept all your feelings and all your beliefs. Now, a useful tool is a useful tool. If you talk about the usefulness of the tool, well, then people will use it. I'm not a fan of Bezos. It doesn't mean I don't shop Amazon. Everybody shops Amazon. You don't have to be a fan of Bezos. You don't have to be a fan of Bill Gates. I bet you're probably using Microsoft on your computer right now. You probably own an Xbox too. So this whole thing where we feel like, imagine trying to sell Bill Gates as the founder, and to sell Microsoft stuff. Just imagine that. How difficult would that be for you? Well, that's not far-fetched from how the rest of the space views us. So we don't have to remind people constantly that, here's the founder, because people have their recency bias. They don't understand that Richard was playing a character in order to get attention. Mm-hmm. Richard and Outrage Richard are just as different as me and Francis Finance.
Yep.
He was playing a role. He was playing a part. It effectively got attention, far be it we could say some of the wrong attention, right? It might have drawn a lot of the short-term people. We had a lot of people that had just got in the Pulse. They don't care about Hex. They've never cared about Hex. They just wanted the next 10,000x coin. They heard this guy did a 10,000x coin, and they wanted to move into the next 10,000x coin. Well, what happens when the herd moves like that? Right? What happens when the herd moves but the liquidity doesn't multiply? Mm-hmm. Because everybody's got the same bright idea that they're chasing the next new thing. We've created our own new things.
Yeah.
And we've created this kind of behavior. So that behavior has to sort of change.
Yeah.
PulseChain is an easy sell.
Yeah.
It is a more decentralized version of Ethereum that is faster, easier, faster, cheaper, and it has a lot of development on it and a lot of creative people making a lot of creative things. It's not a ghost chain. It's one of the top 5 chains by volume. Or is it volume? Volume.
And you can run on it.
Yeah, and you can build on it, right? And it has 4 clients instead of just 2. But it's an easy sell. PulseX is an easy sell. It's just our version of Uniswap, right? And cheaper fees because it's running on PulseChain, right? So, and there are multiple DEXs over there. There's aggregators over there. It is a fully fleshed out and developed chain. And there are new things being built all the time. The action is there. We got our own version of Pump Fun, right? If people want to go degen there, it's available. The other thing we have to realize is when Richard's talking, he's not really talking to us anymore. Mm. And everybody thinks, well, if he mentions something, we got to run and chase that because Richard says. No, Richard's not worried about the people that are already in. You're either in or you're not.
No, because you're
marketing. He's trying to get new eyes and new people and catch them with whatever hook that he can. When he's talking to us, yeah, we're sell pressure.
That's all we are to him anymore. We're sell pressure.
So pressure. You guys are already in. Screw you guys, right?
I agree with him.
I mean,
we all are.
I understand that people miss his streams, but go back and watch some of his old streams.
Go watch that. It's all there. He ain't gonna say nothing new.
It's really, there's a lot of stuff there that I liked Warrior Richard. I loved when he fought with people on debates, and that's why we realized how incompetent the rest of this space really is.
Oh yeah,
They aren't ready for DeFi.
they're not.
And, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. It's like being 4 hours early to a party. We're more like 4 years early to a party. But, we show up to the party, we're complaining because nothing's happening yet. Well, we're not there yet. It's not our time yet. Being early sucks. It does. It sucks. You know why it sucks? Because there's a lot of waiting. If you buy into something and you FOMO buy in the first day of launch, well, guess what? That item might go on sale 50% off the next week. It happens in stores.
All the time.
Happens all the time in stores, but you got to look at it from where you can't go back in time and change what you did. You can only move forward.
Mhm.
And we've had a year of basically just moving sideways. Well, what about liquidity pools? You could have been earning this whole time during those high volume times. You could have had your Pulse paired with USDC and been making USDC and Pulse this whole time.
Yep.
Right.
In a least risky time to do so, for the last.
And, when it moves away, when it finally does take off, you'll want to pull that pool because you'll end up with a bunch of US dollar, but no Pulse.
Yeah.
Because essentially when you set up a liquidity pool that way, when the price moves away like that, you end up with a lesser coin, right?
Yep.
And so that's impermanent loss. But
yeah,
just look at the fact that you can have a whole conversation about the coins themselves without dragging Richard into it. Richard can speak for himself. He can claim the bragging rights for what he built and what he's been a part of. That's for him to brag about. That's not for us to brag about some guy that did a thing. We're participating in the product. Is this product useful? When I say we don't need him to pump our bags, what we need is participation. What we need is people to understand the product. What we need is people to get out of this trading mentality and realize that they're not going to outtrade long-term hold.
Yeah.
They're not. They think they are. They're not.
Never
You're
does.
not going to get a better position than if you DCA. Lump sum buys do not work in here unless you happen to catch the very, very bottom. The lump sum strategy doesn't work. The buy once strategy and pray doesn't work unless you're willing to wait a really long time. So you're extending the amount of time you have to wait by trying the lump sum strategy, especially if you end up buying at the top. So, and a top, we've had one cycle top. There are going to be future cycles, guys. The future cycles are going to happen whether we're participating or not.
Long as crypto's here.
As long as crypto's here, as long as Ethereum's still running, as long as PulseChain has a validator, I mean, it's going to keep running. And the question is, you're going to have to decide for yourself, what do you believe next cycle's top's going to be? Is it going to be equal or greater? Is it definitely, do you believe that it's going to be higher from where we're at today? Where's the risk exactly? How much can you allocate for that risk? These are all personal choices. These are all decisions you have to make. And how about this? If not Richard, then who? In this crypto space, if you think somebody else is going to have a chain and it's going to be more successful, I ask you, if not Richard, then who?
Who? Exactly.
Who is really going to run with this thing? Who's going to make the next big thing? Who's going to make the next lasting thing?
Anything. Not making anything out there.
Who's gonna have 200 user-made websites, 50,000 individual validators throughout the world? Okay, the amount of development that happened on PulseChain in the past 2 years, mind you, it takes at least 2 years for a brand new chain to be viable. So if you thought you were getting a 10x off the start, you're wrong. Everybody had that idea. It didn't work out so good, did it?
Yeah.
But again, SAC rate 2 years ago. You're looking at a price 2 years ago. That's not the going rate today. Yeah, I bought a TV at Black Friday, and the next year I can buy that TV for $100 less than standing in line and waiting with all those other people to get in line to be first to get it, to get my get my one of several next year it's $100 less. This shit happens.
Yep.
Okay? You are where you are now. You have to work towards the future of future valuations. Where do you think those futures going to be? Hex isn't worth much today? Fine. How much do you think it's going to be worth in the future? Wouldn't it be nice to have more coins that you didn't have to buy? Because every day, if you're staked, you are making more coins. You know you are. You don't know what they're worth yet. You're not to the end of your stake. It doesn't matter yet. If you're staked for 2 years, guess what? It matters at 2 years what it's worth. It doesn't matter what it's worth today. You're still getting free coins. As long as it has any value, you're making more value.
Yep. So 5-year cycle, guys. That's the best strategy, right? What's up?
Well, the thing is, we say 4-year cycle, but where exactly did from cycle top to cycle top?
Oh, you know, I mean, as long as you're stuck there in somewhere in the cycle, you're good if you got liquid. That way, you're not hurting the system. You're able to cash out with a decent price, all that good stuff. I mean,
it's like this.
Look at all of Crispy's stuff and see where all the stakes are, how the most people stake, and all that good stuff. And you can, kind of like you can set up your staking ladder and strategy based on all of that. So it's
some bag, some chance. No bag, no chance. Where do you want to be?
Ding, ding, ding.
Some bag, some chance. No bag, no chance.
No chance.
That's your choice.
Yeah, you got you will never what is it? You will never make the shots that you don't take. You will never make the shot that you don't take.
JFK. No, I don't even have a microphone, JFK. I literally have this camera sitting in front and that has the microphone. And I have never bought a microphone because I never intended to stream. And here I am, years later, still showing up out of random and still haven't splurged on a damn microphone. It's not like I can't afford one. It's just I keep telling myself I'm not going to do this anymore.
Well, we've done our job. Corey Stake tonight. Who's with me? He said. That's it. We have done our work here. We had a staker tonight. Thanks, Corey Reacts, for staking. Appreciate you. I'm glad we taught you something. Oh, no. Hex Hodl. You're getting ready to get.
Can we explain one more time? Yeah, run back the tape.
All right, Johnny. Well, thanks for coming, man. I'm going to close out the stream tonight. Appreciate you.
3 hours. Yep. That's a good amount.
3 hours is a lot longer than I like to go anymore. I'm getting old. This chair's not getting any more comfortable. All right, everybody. Thanks.
Everybody.
We look, it's about Hex and it's about this community and it's about DeFi, and we need to all come together, show people the value of what true DeFi is, show people the value of what Hex is, go back to our roots. Especially as this bull market comes in, so that people can understand and learn the value of it. And, maybe you guys heard a little bit of the history here, and it brings it into a little perspective, because, I think that's important. And we don't do enough of that in this world, is go back into our history and see what worked, what didn't, where we came from, what our origins were. Why are we where we at? Why are these OGs so upset when we say this or say that or say this? It's like, because ad nauseum, we've said some of these things. And I know you guys haven't gone back and looked at all of our 3-hour streams that we did before, but the things that we are saying today haven't changed from the things that we said 5 years ago. And that's why we should be repeating ourselves and telling it, because the things that worked then are going to work now. The reason Hex worked then is the reason it's going to work now and into the future. And it's something that's precious, and we've got to keep it. And it's not going to be just Richard coming out here to fix it, save it, move it forward, help DeFi. It's going to take all of us. That's why there is a community, because We don't have a master marketing plan that works out there in crypto yet. We don't have a way to get outreach. It's the networking effect. It's all of us telling stories. It's all of us educating and letting people know what the history and where we're at and where we're going, and what we want to see moving into the future. And we all have to come together to do that and bring it forward. So thanks everybody for coming. We'll catch you on the next one. Not this, I got a new show coming. It's going to be kind of a newsy thing. So I'm going to try and bring some crypto news and do it in a fashion that's my style. But I want to get a little more education out there. I want to get a little more information about what's going on in the global markets, the financial world, and the crypto space, so that we can kind of marry what's going on out there with our activism, with our outreach, with our, leadership in this space. So I'm going to be doing that here in the next couple of weeks. Burn It All's on Thursday, where we're reaching out to the cigar community, and got a success story. We had a gentleman that was in the lounge with us that wants to put a couple $100,000 into the market, and he's really looking at PulseChain to do so. So that was very cool. And also ran into another guy that owns 3 lounges in Toronto, Canada, and wanted to gift the community a couple of trips on his cigar cruise that he had. So really cool guy, and he's in the Cardano community, but wants to know a lot more about Hex. We had a nice long conversation in the lounge about that. So out there doing what I can to outreach and get to people that are spending money in crypto, and trying to bring them over to the DeFi side and the Hex side, so that they can, benefit like we are. All right. And then of course, next Friday, we see you here at the FN Hangout. Thanks. This is your show. We'll see you then. Take care. Thanks, Johnny. Again, we'll see you, buddy.